did it.
What's going on? What's going on, Film Fam? Welcome to another episode of Let the Film Speak. I am one of your hosts, Chop. Here, my main man, Willie Jack. Willie Jack, how you feeling this evening, my
Hey
dog?
man, I'm feeling good, feeling great, man. This Wednesday, I'm talking ball with my dog, man. I ain't gonna ask for nothing else.
All right, that's right. And you shouldn't ask for nothing else, man. So, man, tonight's episode, we talking about the coaches, man. We went through all the rankings already. As we told you a few different times, we went through the rankings of each position group. And now it's time for us to get to the guys that orchestrate everything. They put it together. They put together the plays. You know what I'm saying? That's behind the scenes and not on the field performing, man. So we're gonna talk about these top 10 head coaches going into the 2023 season, man. We're gonna definitely tap into those. But before we do that, we gotta tap in on our house rules, man. Gotta tap in on house rules. That's like, that's share, that's subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Tap in with your boys. If you in here, check in with us right now. Check in with us right now. Become the newest member of the Film Fam. We appreciate all the love and support. As my dog Willie loves to say, you know what I'm saying? Talk to us, we talk back. But that's not it. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, man. How else are you going to know when me and Willie Jack got something going on? When we got something cooking? You know, what are the latest events coming up? You know, when we got something you can be involved in, as I'm getting ready to talk about here in just a second. So definitely don't forget to hit that notification bell, like, share, and subscribe, and I guarantee you we will not let you down. All right. And speaking of what I just talked about a little bit, things that you all can be involved with, the Film Fam, the people we love, the people that support us, man. We appreciate y'all, man, so much. I'm going to talk about the first thing, man, the Let the Film Speak Fantasy Football League, man. It's getting ready to get started. We're getting it squared away. We got a few people signed up already, man, but we need some more people to sign up, man. We want y'all to come in, fill a spot. It's free entry, man. Come on in, join the Let the Film Speak Fantasy League. That's a prize for the winner. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the season, and all you have to do is like, share, subscribe, man. And once you share this video, you know, just let us know you in. You know what I'm saying? If you're in the chat right now, let us know that you in the Fantasy Football League, man. Another thing that we got going on each and every year, the weekly Let the Film Speak Pick'em. All right, that's where you just pick the winners of each game, and at the end of the year, we tally it all up, man. And the winner, you know what I'm saying? And the winner, of course, gets another prize. Willie Jack.
Who's that, Chop? You said, it's time for the winners. Yeah, speaking of winners, yeah, man, message from your 2022 let the film speed pick up champion. You know what I'm saying? Come prepared, man. That's all I want to tell y'all. You know what I'm saying? Don't come in there thinking it's light. It ain't sweet in here. I'm just letting y'all know. But if you ain't scared of that smoke, man, come on, man. I got plenty more to go around, man. Y'all come on with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Willie Jack, he holds the championship as of right now. He is the defending champion, man. Of course, I'm on my way back, Willie Jack, man. I'm on my way back, Willie Jack. I need to take my throne back, man. I belong on top, man. I was there to you before. You took it from me this year. Hey, but I'm coming right back, man. So if y'all want to join, the weekly pick'em, all I ask is y'all do the same thing, man. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Let us know you in. You know what I'm saying? And we got you, man. We'll put you in. We already got a few people sign up for that one as well. This one is going to be a little bit tougher, Willie Jack. We already got a healthy amount of people that want to pick games each and every week. So,
and I was just about to ask you about that, man, because I know we got quite a few people who've mentioned they want to be involved, man. Is there any type of cap or limit? Because I've said it before. I'm gonna say it again, man. It's the perfect time to. This is a lot of work, man. Chop does tracking these picks for all of us. You know what I mean? Keeping everything together, keeping everything lined and tallied out, man, for the whole entirety of the season, 256 games, whatever that is, and Chop tallies every one. And so, like I said, man, it's a lot to get in. It's a lot that goes into it, man. So, man, hey, you capping it, dog? Like, how many you taking, or you just like, man?
As of right now, man, come one, come all. You know what I'm saying? Come one, come all. I could take it on. I'm willing to take it on. This is what I'm willing to do. So for Let the Film Speak, to make us all feel like one family, the film fam, as we like to say. I want everybody to join. I want all us to get in, get involved, have fun. Hey, man, it doesn't matter. I don't have a number, Willie Jack, but if you're interested, come on, get in that weekly pickle, man, and we can get it going for sure. All right. Sure. Now, that leads me to the news. When we went through the announcements, we got to jump in on the news, Willie Jack. And the first bit of news, man, we've been waiting a long time, and me and Willie Jack both were saying it, that it was only a matter of time before this player got signed. It was just too much talent. He's still young. Dalvin Cook signs a one-year deal with the Jets worth up to $8.6 million, man. And I'm going to go ahead and jump in on this one, Willie Jack, and I'll turn it over to you. But in my opinion, it's a great addition for the Jets. You know what I'm saying? Why their guy for the future gets healthy, and it's clear in what they want to do and what their future holds by this just being a one-year deal. They could have signed Dalvin Cook for multiple years, but by this just being a one-year deal, it lets me know their intentions here. And it also lets me know that they're all in right now. Okay. Breece Hall, he'll still be healthy enough. And actually he just got taken off of the PUP list, so he's now back at practice. But he'll be healthy enough to play, but he won't be healthy enough to, take on that full role like he was at the beginning of the year last year. Okay, so bringing in a guy like Dalvin Cook, a veteran, is going to be fresh and ready to go. Allows you to kind of bring Breece Hall along slowly, and slowly get him back in the lineup. And then on top of that, too, we've said so many times, it's not the first year after the ACL, it's the second year. It's not too many Adrian Petersons out there. It's not one Adrian Peterson out there. Let's just be honest about that. It's not another one who can come out the 1 year after and run for 2,000 yards. But yeah, man. All else said, I think this is a great signing for the Jets, man, and it lets me know, hey, they're trying to win right now. Willie Jack, what's your take on this one?
No, I like the signing. The only thing I would say is I don't think either side had interest in a multi-year deal. So I don't think they wanted him for more than one. I don't think he wanted to be there for more than one. Because for one, like he's at the start of this process, he established that he's not coming to play for pennies. He's not going to be a guy that comes and shows up and takes a $3 million deal just to play ball in 2023 in the 2024 season. So I don't think either side. And then, but I do like the signing for a lot of what you just said about Breece Hall. So he's of course off the PUP. He is going to be available for them in this first year. But just like you said, now we don't have to rush him back at all. And he's definitely the future at that position for the team. And so, but yeah, just like you said, man, definitely a win now move. You already brought over Ryan. They've did everything they can to bolster that offense and make Aaron Rodgers as comfortable as he can. Well, everything except fix that offensive line, which is still a sore spot for that team. But like I said, but other than that, like I said, this is just more of the same. We saw Randall Cobb, we saw Alan Lazard, we saw all his old buddies show up in the building, and now you go get a stud running back like Dalvin Cook to now, like I said, not only uh, bolster the position in the early going. Like I said, while Brees Hall is still working to get back to himself, but now, like I said, that process could take as long as it takes. And then now you still do have a two-headed monster and an established veteran guy at the position to stand in the dot behind A Rod, and I'm sure that makes him more comfortable as well. So I like the move on both sides. The money I thought was decent. I know he was saying he wanted 10 mil a year. I think the base value is 7. Incentives up to 8.6 is what I think I saw, and so which I don't think is necessarily a bad deal for this team in this situation. And so it's not that $10 million mark he wanted, but this is for a specific championship run. You know what I mean? So the Patriots in the same division, we're also talking to them. The Dolphins in that same division, we're talking to them as well. And so he winds up with Aaron in New York. So yeah, can't wait to see how it unfolds.
Gotcha. And like I said, man, they just doubles down on the fact that this team is trying to win now. They know the window is not large, with Aaron Rodgers. I don't see him being there long term. And quite honestly, I don't feel like they're 100% done. You know what I mean? We watching this offensive line struggle a little bit in certain situations. Don't be surprised if maybe they go back and get Aaron Rodgers' old guy. See, he made a petition to bring Alan Lazard and Cobb and those guys over. You know what I'm saying? Who's to say that he won't go back? He won't double back with Green Bay and go get the at one point in time probably the best pass blocking left tackle in the NFL. What's
David Bakhtiari.
Yeah, David Bakhtiari, man. So I've been hearing a little bit in the news in terms of maybe they have some interest in going back and get him. So it's a possibility that this team is not done when when it comes to adding more to this particular squad.
No, and I think I had heard something like that as well. I don't know how realistic it is as far as like cap availability and money, and then willingness of Green Bay.
Your boy took $35 million pay cut, bro.
Oh, yes, he did.
He took $35 million. It's a reason.
Yes,
it's a reason. He's making room, man. He's trying to go get that Super Bowl, man.
You make a very good point. And it's first off, it's one thing for a quarterback to give up a chunk of change, right? It's another thing for Aaron to give up that money as well. Because Aaron's not shy about letting y'all know, hey, man, look, I love Devontae. Devontae ain't gonna stop my bag, man. I need 52 M's. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Devontae, I love you, big dog. I'll watch you in Vegas. You know what I'm saying? So Aaron Rodgers isn't leaving anything extra on the table. That's just, I mean, and that's his choice, whatnot. But yeah, to see him make that type of move, man, lets everyone know, like, yeah, I mean, he's full bore, all in on this. Like I said, this what could be this last ride right now. So yeah, I'm excited to see what else they may have up their sleeve for sure.
Absolutely. Sticking with the running backs, Ezekiel Elliott, man, the hometown kid, man, former Dallas Cowboys running back, signs a 1-year deal that could be worth up to $6 million, a $6 million deal with incentives. He signs that deal with the New England Patriots. Willie Jack, what's your take on this one, man?
Honestly, man, I do like this move. I'm glad. I'm happy to see Zeke find a home, man. And I started finding. I feel. I don't want to say I feel bad. Zeke got 90 million reasons not to give a damn if I feel bad or not. But I almost feel like in our little circle, man, I think I might have like sold my Zeke stock a little earlier than most. And then, man, I'm not gonna lie, man. But just to see how far that it feels like Zeke fell as far as his public perception. Was like, damn, man, it was all good just a week ago. And so love to see him find a place. I was worried that he may go this year without being picked up on the team, and then that's the last time we hear of Zeke, because that happens in the running back market. So I am happy he found a place, or found a home. I like that it's with the Patriots, because Bill at Bill's core, he still is a guy that wants to make sure that, or he's still a guy that is willing to ground and pound you, or to make sure that we don't get too far away from like running the ball. And so I like Ramondre Stevenson. And so you've got another big bruising back in Zeke there. And so I would imagine, especially with the way that team's constructed now with Mac Jones, and so they want a stronger, dependable, running game as they still work things out in that passing game for Mac Jones. And so I think that this is a good landing spot for him. And honestly, I think he's going to get some good run here. Like I really do. I think it's going to be. I don't necessarily think. I think his Bill Cow days are definitely done for sure. But I do think it's going to be a pretty even kill two-headed monster there. So I think he's going to get prettier work, a prettier run there in New England. And so hopefully he's healthy, and I hope he has one last one last hoorah, man, before before his legs probably finally cut out on him.
Gotcha. And Willie Jack, I somewhat agree with what you were saying. I don't know if I necessarily view it as totally even. I still think this is Stevenson's backfield. But I do think this is a great fit for Zeke, and I do think he is going to get his fair share for sure. That's what I will say. I think he's going to have a valuable role and some early down situations, and will be used a lot in goal line situations. Okay, the one thing about Ramondre Stevenson is he can run the ball pretty well, but a lot of times he was used heavily in the pass game, in terms of he had 69 catches last year. You know what I'm saying? So I think that Stevenson will get a lot of third down work. Now that doesn't that doesn't cut Zeke out from third down work in total, because I mean Zeke is still probably the best pass blocking running back in the league. You know what I'm saying? And that's one strength that he does have. But in terms of Ramondre Stevenson's, uh, you know, his package and his repertoire that he brings, I still think this is going to be his backfield. But Zeke is going to get his fair share. But I like the fit though overall. I think this is a great spot for him. And like you said, Willie Jack, they still gonna want to run a ball, especially with the way that this offense is orchestrated
Exactly.
with Mac Jones back there at QB, man. So I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Definitely with you there. Staying with the running backs, man, and after kind of talking about a few 1 year deals, this one didn't necessarily, it's not some of the best news. It's not good news at all, in terms of what happened with this situation. But Alex Collins, man, former running back of the Ravens and Seahawks, he passed at the age of 28 after a tragic motorcycle incident, man, in Florida. Sources say that he crashed in the back of into a back of like a sports utility vehicle. He played valuable roles for the Ravens and Seahawks, during his time in the NFL. I remember him, in some of the great runs and great moments that he's had, as he played for both of these teams. And from various old teammates, man, you heard a lot about how great of a teammate he was, how he was a great guy. And man, rest in peace to him. And my condolences go out to his family, from the film fam out to his family and friends and everybody just around him, man. So condolences out to Alex Collins.
No, for sure. And I'll echo that sentiment as well. I don't really remember him much with the Raiders. I definitely remember him with the Seahawks, though. It was at that time where like it felt like the Seahawks were rotating.
And
Like,
not Raiders, Ravens.
oh, Ravens. Okay. Oh, my
Ravens.
fault. Okay, yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, I don't remember. Okay, that's not. I misheard
Yeah,
you.
my bad.
No, that was me. But no, I definitely remember him most from the Seahawks. I remember they had like a 4-back stable at one point as they were winding down, or maybe just after. I think Lynch was there as well. But I remember him in those times, man. But crazy thing or sad thing about it, and continuing on, and I hate to even make this reference, but this is a 28-year-old supreme athlete who I don't think he'd been in the league for the last 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. If I've read that right, or was it, or maybe he wasn't in the league
He
last
may. I think he was with like was it UFL? Is that what it's called?
USFL or something like that.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
wasn't in the NFL for I think either the last year or possibly the last 2 years. I'm sorry, I was when I was reading about his passing, but it just goes back to kind of the topic in the league topic for for this summer so far is just the treatment, the pay, and and I guess the professional life cycle of an NFL running back. He's 28 and his NFL career ended maybe as much as 2 years ago at 26, which should be the heart of his athletic prime. And so it's just none of that matters as far as what happened. Like I said, it's definitely sad to see or hear of his passing. Thoughts and prayers and condolences out to him, or to his family, his friends, his loved ones, his former teammates, and everything of that ilk. And but yeah, man, just a tragedy and sad thing to hear, especially like I said, when a guy's so young, man. Guy hadn't turned 30. You know what I mean? And as guys, me and Chop could both attest, now that we're both on the other side of 30, just the way you see life changes so drastically just after that point, maybe going forward, and he didn't make it there, man. So gone way too soon. And like I said, condolences to your family.
Absolutely, Willie Jack definitely went there. And then last but not least in our news, man, I want to end it on a little bit of a good note. The holdout is over, man. The holdout is over for Dallas Cowboys star guard Zach Martin, man. The Cowboys agreed to restructure his deal so that he gets a little bit over $18 million the next 2 years, man.
Ooh,
He was originally, my fault. I almost forgot. Willie Jack, holler at Alexa for me, dog.
ooh,
Holler.
Lexi, hey, cue that king dog. Cause somebody done got paid, man. Y'all stop playing.
Absolutely. He was originally due 27.5 million over the next 2 years, but it's now guaranteed 36 million. Okay, so that a little bit over that 18 million, all of that is guaranteed. He's getting all that this year and next year, no matter what happens. You know what I'm saying? And I think this move was important for the Cowboys' chances of getting to a Super Bowl. Okay, that's their goal. Their goal is to get to a Super Bowl. They've already bolstered up the defense, and it would hurt them extremely bad to lose that valuable of a piece on that offensive end. Okay, especially with what Mike McCarthy says he wants to do with this offense, wants to run the ball a little bit more. Hey man, it's gonna be tough sledding running the ball without your guy right there. You know what I'm saying? And then with Dak having the season that he had last year, struggling as much, throwing a lot of interceptions, throwing the most that he's thrown in his career or in that amount of time in 12 games, to not have a guy to be there and pass protect one of those main guys up the middle, you want to protect Dak as much as possible. So that's a huge move for them. It was a move that they had to make, and I'm glad that they was able to, figure something out and get him paid and get him what he needed in order for him to be back in camp. So now he has at least a full 2 to 3 weeks of camp, of practice, where he can get right back. Of course, he's probably in shape, but get back in football shape, and they should be ready to go. They should be ready to go. So yeah, good move. Congratulations to the Cowboys for getting him. And Zach, go ahead and get your money, big dog.
No, exactly right, man. So I think when this first came up and me and Chop talked about it, I think at the time when we were talking about it, we was like, well, if we look at it, he's probably the best offensive player on that team. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? And so, like I said, man, if he's a guy, long-term stalwart, one of the established leaders, a captain on that team, like I said, your offense's best individual player. And so I think this is something that had to be done. And taking care of a guy like this or not taking care of a guy like this, that's the type of move that can really kind of cause ripples one way or the other in the locker room. Because if I'm a guy like Micah Parsons and I see Zach Martin drafted here, stayed here, performed, overperformed, excelled, was an all-pro, was a guy that was at the very top of the position. And then if I'm looking and seeing, well, damn, man, y'all just kind of turned the cold shoulder to this guy. Well, what's that say about me? Like, I'm going to be Zach Martin in 7 years.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And I want, you know what I mean? So it just goes a long way. I think it helps to establish, a good, I guess, a good reputation or good precedent, I guess, for that young crop of players in the locker room now to see, okay, hey, Jerry and the guys, they, they'll take care of our own. If I go out there, do the right things, they'll make it right. You know what I mean? They'll come back, they'll take care of me. And so that's a win-win for win-win on both sides for keeping Zach Martin, of course. And then, like I say, the extra boost it gives in the locker room because they've got young players at the top of the position coming up, time to get paid. Michael Parsons being probably primary. I think CeeDee Lamb, I think he's going to be due for a deal as well. And I think Trayvon just signed, but so there's a new young nucleus, man. And this was a very good example of seeing how the Cowboys take care of their own and do business. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. I know they happy that they finally, are out of that Ezekiel Elliott deal. I know for sure they happy about that one. I'm saying? Finally out of that one. That frees up some money for sure. So I know they got to be happy about that one. But Willie Zach, man, that's it. That's all in terms of the news, man. We went through the news today, went through everything, talked to y'all about some announcements, man. Check in for me, Willie Jack. Who's in the building, man?
Yeah, man,
man. Who fell in here right now?
Yeah, man, we got a couple of members in the building, man. First off, man, I cannot go away from this as well, man. On a personal note, it is my mom's birthday today. Mom, I know you ain't here. My mama is normally, if she's not the first person in the chat to tell me and Chop, love y'all, do great, that's normally like the first and second comment of every single show. Mom's hold me down. It's your birthday today. Appreciate you, love you. She's in the building as always. The rest of them.
Happy birthday, moms. I want to second that too, Willie Jack, because yes, she is the first one in the building almost every night, man. So shout out to moms. Yeah. Especially happy birthday from Chop, man. From your from your son from another mother. You know
Hey,
what I
for
mean?
sure.
So
Know that.
happy birthday from me, man. Happy birthday to mom.
For sure, for sure. Then the rest of the members in the building as well, man. My dog, our dog Tom, man, terrible Tom Walker, man, our resident Texans fan. He's in the building already talking a little crazy, man. He already told us, man. D'Amico Ryans is number one on the list, man. Look, man, let us get in here, man. Let us get situated before you just started just lobbing just outlandish statements in the chat, man. But appreciate our dog Tom, man, as always. Man, another one of the members, man, our dog, man, Jeff in the building as well, man. And he in the chat too, man. He said, hey, Jeff, you're going to have to give me some context, man. I see you got a couple comments in here, but I'm not sure of the context for sure. Hey, your boy Tori, man, brother-in-law Tori in the building. Oh, who he talking to? The champ in the building.
Hey,
hold on.
he is last year Let the Film Speak Fantasy Football League champ, man. He is
my
a champ
fault.
of the Fantasy Football League, man.
I be forgetting I took off for the Fantasy Football League last year. I forgot I let everybody have fun, and that's why I keep throwing me off. But yeah, hey, welcome in, Tori. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate your brother-in-law. He in the building as well, man. Hey, wifey, Mrs. Boyce is in the building as well, as always. And then, hey, somebody on Facebook, holler at me in the chat or come over to the
Josh.
channel.
That's Josh. I'm already on it for you. That's Josh, man. Josh, a Steelers fan. He already making this claim,
hey,
man.
Come on. Hey, you see how he's stepping? Come on, Josh. Want to talk about, man? Bring your ass up to the penthouse, dog. Don't forget to ring the bell for me, big dog. But yeah, come on up here, man. We appreciate you as always, man. Y'all know what's going on, man. We appreciate the love, man. We got a good one going today, man. So y'all stay locked in.
Absolutely, Willie Jack. And I think it's about that time, man. I think it's about time for us to go ahead and jump into it. Talk about these coaches, man. Who are our top coaches going into the 2023 season? And before I jump into my list, Willie Jack, because I'm gonna start off the 10. You know, I hit the 10 first. Before I jump into the list, I want to say this is one of the more difficult processes to go through for me. Okay, and the reason why is because these coaches, I mean, and guess kind of like players, they all of them play. Some of them play similar roles, but there's so many different roles and that they play for their teams. Okay, some coaches they call the plays for their offense. Some coaches call the plays for their defense. Some coaches don't call plays; they just are more of the orchestrators of everything, making sure everything's in line. Like there's so many different roles that these head coaches play, and so for this list, I had to take into consideration like the overall impact of each of these coaches, man, the importance, competitiveness, of their teams, the characteristics of their teams. Like it's so many things that I had to take into consideration, man, when I put this list together. Okay. So that leads me to my first guy, man. My number 10 guy going into this 2023 season. I'm gonna go with Green Bay Packers, Matt LaFleur. All right. Matt LaFleur is my number 10 guy on this list. Okay. And when he took over the Packers, man, he also inherited one of the best QBs to ever play the game. Okay. And that's one thing I also take into consideration, in which most people do. They look at the quarterback and say, all right, man, how much did he really have an impact? How much did this quarterback, have an impact? You got one of the greatest. That's been an argument for Bill Belichick, for years. Is it Tom Brady or is it Bill Belichick? You know what I'm saying? Those are things that people like to argue about for so long, but you got to look at it like this, all right? A lot of times, before his arrival, the Packers were kind of in limbo, all right? It was around that time where people started to feel like, all right, Aaron Rodgers may be starting to slow down. Oh, they went and drafted Jordan Love. Maybe they're looking to move on from Aaron Rodgers, and they weren't so hot. The 2 seasons before he arrived, they won 6 games and 7 games, back-to-back years, okay? The last time they won more than 10 games was back in 2014, all right? So then you get this guy, Matt LaFleur, come in, new guy, new energy, Of course, Aaron Rodgers was a little motivated as well, and he gets 3 in a row, 3 back-to-back 13-win seasons, gets some number 1 seeds, and forces the road to the Super Bowl to go through, or would have had to go through Lambeau each of those years, man. You can't say enough for what his impact was. And a lot of people want to slight him because of the quarterback that he was coaching, and then also maybe the lack of success when they got into the playoffs. And there's a lot of different things that can kind of, didn't kind of go his way, or you can kind of put the blame on a lot of different people. But for me, in my opinion, and watching him, and the structure of his team. They always kept a solid defense when he came over. They kept a great run game, 1-2 punch. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of things you can tell. Oh, this is Matt LaFleur's imprint. You know, so on this particular team, and so for that, those reasons are the reasons why I got him in my number 10 spot, man. So Matt LaFleur, my number 10 coach going into the 2023 season. I'm anxious to see what Jordan Love is going to look like in this system. But if I had to bet my money on it, man, I bet this team is still going to be, pretty competitive. They may not be a playoff team, but I think they're going to be competitive in games.
Man, I can't believe this how you starting off your list, man.
I can't believe
you're gonna let me knock you. I can't believe you're gonna let me knock you down in the first round. You know what I'm saying? I didn't already dropped you. I didn't already get flash knocked down in the first round. Let me tell you why Matt LaFleur didn't make my list.
Talk to me.
Because honestly, I feel like this is the year I'm gonna find out whether or not he can coach. And so
absolutely,
you know what I'm saying? So and it's never, or at least for myself, it's never necessarily about 1 year or one win, but I can't help feeling that loss at home in the snow in Lambeau to San Francisco. What was that going to be 2 years ago in the divisional game, right? That's to me a time where like you could have showed me your chops, because Aaron couldn't get it done for whatever reason. It looked like his team was unprepared for the elements, and that's their advantage. Like that's their armor, that's their cloak. That's what they throw at the other team. And so they let the California team come out there and be the more physical team, the team that looked like they were more prepared to handle the elements and who performed better in those elements. And like you said, he had the weapons to get down in the mud and grind it out as well, because he's got AJ Dillon, he's got Aaron Jones, just like you were saying, he's got two talented backs. And like I said, I think in the after the first half, they didn't cross the 50-yard line in the second half of that game. They never made it past the 50. And so I haven't yet been able to decide what's been, I guess, his impact on that game. Outside, I do appreciate the winning, like you said, 3 seasons of the 13 wins, the 2 poor years before that, where I can guarantee you Aaron Rodgers is just as petty and as spiteful as doing everything just shy of tanking or whatever the case. I mean, so there was a very toxic situation, especially there at the end between Aaron and Mike McCarthy. And then, you get Matt LaFleur. Aaron's found his motivation again now. And then you rattle off 3 13-win seasons in a row. And then kind of like you were saying, though, man, it feels like I feel like Aaron went out there and this is very light. It's easy for me to just give Aaron all the credit, but motivated Aaron Rodgers feels like he's good for 12 wins. Motivated Aaron Rodgers with the weapons and the team that they had feels like a 12-win team if me and you was calling those plays. And so I still feel like I haven't yet seen his chops on his own. And so I think this is going to be the perfect year to let us know. And then like you're saying as well, man, I do think that this Packers team is going to be a lot better than maybe a lot of us gave him credit at first blush, man, because Jordan Love in this limited preseason, of course, but I think he's shown himself. Well, and for all the he's getting rave reviews in the offseason through the preseason process and all these good things. So I'm very excited to see what they do going forward. But man, I don't know, man. I couldn't give him one of those spots. I couldn't give him one of those spots right now just yet. I couldn't do it.
Absolutely. I feel you, Willie Jack. I respect it, you know what I'm saying? But I just felt like even though I understand and respect everything that you said, I just feel like to be able to still have that impact. You know, when we talk about a motivated Aaron Rodgers, it was Aaron Rodgers was motivated under the tutelage of Matt LaFleur, under him as the head coach. You know what I'm saying? So it was those things, and I just took those into consideration. And there was some other reasons I feel like they lost some of those games, but I ain't gonna get into that. That's cool.
Yeah,
who you got at number 10, Willie Jack? Who you got?
All right. Number 10 for your boy. This is where I'm going to go, Mike McDonald. So, head coach for the Miami Dolphins. And so
Mike McDaniels, I got you.
Speak down. There we go. Yeah, Mike McDaniels, my dog. Me and names, boy, I tell you. Mike McDaniels.
Don't worry about it. That's why you got your boy.
Exactly, man. But head coach for the Dolphins. And so 1 year as a head coach, and he showed himself extremely well. Of course, the season I mean, it's no secret. The concussion issues with Tua was the story of their season. In that, but prior to that point, up until the point where before Tua took that first ding and missed time, this was the most explosive offense in the league. They were racing. They were both racing folks up and down the field. Uh, Tua looked to be a superstar as opposed to the guy who they couldn't wait to replace. So Deshaun Watson was a popular target there for Brian Flores in that same team because for a lot of folks in that office or a lot of folks around the league just didn't believe that Tua had the chops to be a franchise quarterback. Mike McDaniels gets there. I know he heard all the talk. Oh, he's small. Oh, he's quiet. Oh, he doesn't have a strong arm. Didn't matter. And so, that offense was just as explosive as any in the league. And like I said, and so now you've got Tua back, healthy and raring to go for this season. So excited for that. Hopefully he stays that way. You've got Tyreek back, comes over for Kansas City, sets the league on fire. Was for a time there threatening 2,000 yards. And so I feel like even though it's only a short sample size, but I think we can directly. I feel like if I turn on Miami Dolphins football, I have no question I'm watching Mike McDaniel's football or his brand of football. So his hands, his fingerprints, imprints are all up and through that offense from everything they do, from the way that we've seen Tua transform his own career trajectory. And like I said, barring health issues, this is a guy that looks like he's going to put up some massive numbers for quite a while. And so, and I think their arrow is still. I think they're still a team that's still ascending as well. And so they've made some other additions to that team, and namely to that defense as well. And so if he's building on the momentum he established for himself in year one, then I think this is a guy that can firmly cement himself as one of the bright offensive minds going forward. So, he'll be one of those names that we turn to when Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan and those guys. And now there's a new group of guys. There's Zach Taylor. There's Mike McDaniels. There's Matt LaFleur. You know what I mean? So now which of these guys are going to, jump to the front of that class? And for me, I think right now, I think he's the guy, or he's one of those guys I would put up front, like I said, for this new crop of young coaches.
Absolutely, Willie Jack, and I respect that too. You know what I'm saying? Mike McDaniels, he didn't quite make my list, but I like the pick with him at 10. He's new, and that was the main reason I didn't have him on my list. Yeah. I do like what he's done thus far in terms of the offense he was able to put together, all the questions that surrounded them going into the season, and with him able to silence a lot of those things and say, hey, we're gonna be successful, we're gonna be explosive, but there's more to see from him. So I didn't quite put him on my list. But who's your number 9, man? Who's your number 9?
Gotcha. Number 9 for your boy. See, I'm 8 and 9. I'm looking at, dog. 8 and 9. I'm looking at, but number 9, the way I got it written right now is the way I'm gonna go ahead and run it, man. This is where I'm gonna get. I'm gonna put Pete Carroll here at 9, and so I'm bringing back an oldie but goodie. I think Pete, for me, there was at Pete's best. I think he was a guy that was a top 3-4 guy in this league. I think during that premium Seahawk tenure there, we know the glory days, and then there was a lull there, but just seeing the way that Pete, I guess under Pete's stewardship as the coach of that team, but just seeing the way how they transitioned so quickly from moving on from a franchise quarterback. And I think we have to. I don't think it's necessarily being appreciated just how special that is, because we're watching Bill Belichick right now, who, if we asked before 2020, if you asked anybody that watches football or has heard of the NFL, who's the best coach in the NFL, if you watch the game or not, you'll say Bill Belichick, right? And now we're seeing Bill Belichick post Tom Brady, and it doesn't look the same. Is a team struggling? Is a team struggling to stick around 500? A team struggling to regain their footing, and a team struggling to find a consistent path to the playoffs. And so Pete Carroll, now mind you, this is a completely different scale when I'm talking Russell Wilson to Tom Brady, but the implications of the task at hand is still the same. Moving on from a franchise quarterback, a quarterback that has been in MVP running, a quarterback that's had all pro consideration. So he is a legitimate franchise quarterback, right? Moving on from that guy. And then you're going to tell me that you're going to go into the year and replace him with either career journeyman and soft bust to that point. And I hate even using the word bust, but even let's say soft bust to that point, because he was a guy drafted at the very top of the second round, but he had first round hype. But a guy that his career didn't turn the way it was, he was lost in the sauce. A lot of us forgot that Geno was backing up Russell Wilson until he was announced that he was going to be competing for the starting job. And then who's he competing with the starting job for? Drew Lock, another guy that if you told a lot of us that, yeah, Drew Locke's probably on his way out the league, man, he just ain't got it, or he's destined to be a career third string guy. He'll cash some checks. We'll never see him on the field again. Those are the two guys that he goes to the season to choose from his quarterback. Uh, Geno wins that job, and then what do you know? Not only are they competitive, they're a playoff team. You know what I mean? And so I think that's just a phenomenal job. Just seeing the way him, and kudos to the GM there as well, but the way they revamped that locker room, the influx of new young talent, and the way he's gotten that new young talent motivated, and not only motivated to play, which probably is going to be easy for a young guy, but competent to play. A guy like Tariq Woolen, you know what I'm saying? Chops boy. You know what I'm saying? A fourth round, fifth round, sixth round guy, built like a damn Amazon. But this guy is Pro Bowl caliber as a rookie, young guy. And just that team is just is proliferated with just tons of young talent. They just turned over probably 80% of their locker room, and then where normally there's growing pains, and it's looking like, oh man, it's probably time to get Pete out of there. Or why you give up on a franchise quarterback when Pete's pushing 80? And what we see, well, Pete's getting older, but he's getting older, but he's just as good as he ever was. And so the job he did with Seattle, I think, reinforces in my mind that no, Pete knows his chops, man. Pete is still one of the premier guys in this league, and so I got Pete Carroll, man, coming in at number 9.
Gotcha. Willie Jack, I 100% agree with everything that you said. Everything that you said, which is part of
clip that. Somebody clip it. Somebody clip Chop when he just said that, man. Chop 100% agrees with your boy, man.
You ain't got to clip it because I'm gonna say it exactly. I'm gonna say it one more time. I agree 100% with what you said, which is the reason why you got them too low on your list, Willie Jack. I got them on my list too, but I ain't gonna talk about them right now.
Okay.
All right, that's the reason why you got them a little bit too low. So instead of talking about Pete Carroll, man, and following up with you, man, I'm gonna go into my number 9 guy. And my number 9 guy is the Philadelphia Eagles' Nick Sirianni. Okay, Nick Sirianni. So in just 2 years, man, as a head coach, I can say that Nick is one of the best in the business in making adjustments. Okay. And you I'm gonna put this in perspective for everybody. Okay. It's been evident in both years, and he's been the head coach for the Eagles. Okay. In 2021, they started the season off 3-6. Okay. A lot of people don't remember this, but this was part of the reason why I had that bold take that I ain't gonna bring up again, because I don't want everybody to come for my neck. But in 2021, they started the season off 3-6, and they struggled offensively. Okay. Jalen Hurts was having trouble, picking up the offense or running the offense effectively. You know what I'm saying? It just didn't look like it fit. Okay. But something happened to where they made an adjustment, and the scheme that they went to was a heavy run scheme behind Jordan Howard, and they rambled off and finished that season 9-8. Okay. Then this last year, they went all in and had the challenge of making all the pieces that look good on paper actually work on the field. And we all know teams that make it look good on paper but can't put it all together. We talked about the on paper champs this offseason. I don't know if y'all caught the episode. But we talked about the on paper champs, the guys that look good on paper, in that same division with the stars on their helmet. But we ain't gonna say their name though. Don't worry about that.
Ain't gonna say no names though.
We're gonna say no names though. But he had that challenge. Okay, he brought over AJ Brown. They drafted Devontae Smith. You know what I'm saying? Having to keep Miles Sanders happy, bringing over CJ Gardner-Johnson. Like, it was James Bradbury, keeping Slay in the building. Like, all those different things they had to do, but make them work, make them fit together as one. And he was able to do that. Okay, and in just his second year, he helped coach the Eagles team all the way to the Super Bowl and the best record in the NFL. All right, and on top of that, the game plan was almost flawless, with the exception of not being able to get after the quarterback on offense.
Untimely fumbles, yeah.
The offensive game plan was flawless. You know what I'm saying? And Willie Jack says it all the time. Jalen Hurts was the best quarterback on that field in the Super Bowl.
That is a fact.
And that goes directly to the preparation going into that game. The biggest game in his career has been that Super Bowl, and it's only his second year with the Eagles. Okay. And this year, I think the challenge is going to be, how can we keep the party going? All right. That's going to be the challenge this year, which is why I got him at my number 9 spot and don't have him a little bit higher. He's still new to the game as well, just like Mike McDaniels. Nick Sirianni has a couple years in, and he's shown to me that just the adjustments that he's made with the players that he has on his team, that he has the chops, man. He has the chops to get it going, to make the changes and do the things that he needs to do in order to make his team successful. And of course, by under a good GM and Howie Roseman, man, has
Man.
been doing has been doing lights out.
Yeah.
He's been performing lights out in the offseason for this Eagles team. So, man, Nick Sirianni is my number 9 guy going into the 2023 season.
No, I like everything you said as well, man. Kind of same as before, man. I agree with a lot of the things you said there, but yeah, same as you, man. He's a little low on your list if you ask me, man. So I'm gonna talk about him here in a little bit.
Yeah. Well, here's why I get to the guys that well, not just yet, but I'll get to them in a second. But going into my number 8, man, we're gonna get into some guys, some oldies and oldies but goodies, man. But some guys that's been, to me, in my opinion, that's been showing me a lot, and maybe he is on your list, maybe he's not. It's a rival of yours, but I'm gonna go with my number 8 guy, John Harbaugh, man. John Harbaugh. Hey, man, say what you want. Say what you want about the guy. The guy wins. He wins games, man. He wins games. All right, so look, I'm gonna break this down for you, Willie Jack. Okay, because I need you to hear this and hear me close. All right.
Come on with it.
He's another one of those long tenure coaches, with consistent success with the Ravens. Has a 60% win percentage throughout his career as a head coach. 2012, I'm a Super Bowl champ, and 2019 Coach of the Year. You know what I'm saying? That's with 2 different quarterbacks, might I say, 2 different style of quarterbacks, which is the next point that I was going to kind of get into. All right. Now, he hasn't had a ton of playoff success lately, but in my opinion, I think he's very underrated in terms of his adaptability. Defense has always been one of his strong suits in terms of wanting to make sure the defensive side of the ball is steady, is solid, so that the offense can pretty much play off of the defense. Okay, but the shift in style of offense since Lamar came to town has been something that he hasn't gotten a lot of credit for. Okay, Joe Flacco and Lamar Jackson couldn't be more of different style of QBs. One QB isn't mobile at all, has never been mobile. One may be the best running quarterback in NFL history. Okay, that's 2 different styles of quarterback play, but yet he's found a way for them to be successful and still be playoff teams. Okay, and another aspect was showing his ability to keep a team competitive with backup Tyler Huntley. Like, Lamar Jackson hasn't been able to play a full season in a few years, but yet somehow, regardless of the games that he misses, they find themselves right there in contention to make the playoffs in one of the toughest divisions in football, just in general. When you're talking about Cincinnati Bengals, the Pittsburgh Steelers, like the history of those 2 teams, you know what I'm saying? Can't necessarily count the Browns. The Browns are now just becoming a team that could be relevant, but that division has always been tough. It's always been bloodbaths and battles, when it comes to those teams and fighting for playoff spots. But their ability to still be in contention, regardless of what they look like offensively, regardless of the injuries and all those different things, man, you got to give John Harbaugh his credit, man. Got to give John Harbaugh his credit. And, hey, that's why I got him at my number 8 spot, Willie Jack.
Well, I mean, I can see why you would feel that way, but no, I mean, I'm not going to act like John Harbaugh hasn't shown himself to be a more than capable coach. So I'll agree with you there. The only thing about it, I think that I think he was a much better coach probably the first 6 years than maybe these last 6, because everything. I don't think you said anything wrong there, but one thing that I think that bothers me and why he's off my top 10. Now, if he had been a guy that was on my top 10 over let's say these last 5-6 years or so, he was a guy that I did consider in my top 10. But when I really got to looking at this list, and I think there are some new younger coaches that maybe deserve one of those seats, but I also feel like he's maybe been had just as large a role as some of the players on the field in losing games that they should have won. And that's where it starts to. It's one thing if you lose because players aren't performing. You lose because not Frank Clark, but the other. You lose because your defensive end is lined up in the neutral zone, and you're 30 seconds from beating Tom Brady to go to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Well, it's hard for me to put that on Andy. Well, okay, maybe the guys should be prepared, but that's out of his control. But I feel like there's games that they either won, should have won, or end up losing, and I feel like it was on a lot of it fell on him making poor decisions in premium primetime moments that literally the ebb and flow or the win and loss with the games in the balance, and he's made the decision or the call or the whatever that swung that game to the other side. And so for that reason, I think that's why I didn't include him on this list when I looked at it more like I said, with more recency bias, I guess. But in totality, especially seeing the job he's done, I love what you said there about how they transition from Flacco to Lamar, because that is something that's not easy. That's not just a, like I said, man, they're diametrically opposed as far as play styles, and then the way they were able to transition and do that, maintain their competitiveness throughout. And then even still, like you said, man, which was a very good point as well, they've always remained competitive. And so he's still a very good coach. He's still a great coach. But I think when I got the nitpicking, like I said, to craft this list, you know what I mean? And especially kind of staying with the kind of the theme is kind of looking at it more with harsher lenses for just kind of more right now and then going forward. I think there's some questions on that team, Lamar's health, the new offensive scheme, so still seeing how they gel and look going forward. But yeah, man, some of those blunders, or some of what I would call blunders, is why I end up kind of dropping him off this list and making room for a little new blood.
Absolutely. I got you, Willie Jack. Got you.
Yeah. And then hold on real quick, man. We got a comment while it's still fresh, man. Brother-in-law in the building, man. He said, hey, man, he said you need to put a little more respect on Sirianni's name now. He said you got to put a little more respect on Sirianni's name. And so, yeah, hey, I agree, brother-in-law. You know what I mean? I agree with you. So, yeah, we'll get him situated here shortly.
Hey, man. Hey, he on the list. That's top 10, man. He top 10. He on the list. He only 2 years in, man. He's still new blood. He fresh blood around here. These guys I got up, man. These some guys that's been doing it for just a tad bit longer, man.
No, I feel that. But I'm gonna go ahead and get it going, and man, I'll go ahead and move it to my number 8. And here's where I've got. Speaking of division rivals, here's where I've got Zach Taylor, man. Zach Taylor for the Cincinnati Bengals, and I went. Zach Taylor was on this list here in this 7-8 spot, and then he was off my list completely. But I think in this final going here, I've got Zach Taylor there at 8. And so my beef with Zach Taylor, because we've talked about Zach Taylor, I think on another coaching show we did, or maybe the last time we talked about coaches, I think Taylor made your list and he wasn't on mine. And it was kind of the same sentiments I felt towards him at the time where how I feel about Matt LaFleur now. Like, I couldn't differentiate between Joe Burrow's Bengals and Zach Taylor's Bengals. And so I almost felt kind of like with Aaron Rodgers and LaFleur, that's the kind of feeling I got. And so now he still does have Joe Burrow. He still does. So that's not changing. He's got Jamar Chase. I mean, and so that is he's got tons of toys to play with. But I feel now with the level of consistency, because I think that's a good measure of coaching prowess as well, is don't be a flash in the pan guy. It's one thing to get to the mountaintop once. It's one thing to get, you know what I mean? But they have consistently over these last, let's say, 3 years now. I mean, like I said, it's a short sample size. I think he's been the coach for 4 years, and I think 3 years has been this kind of window or run that they're on now. But I feel like he's pulling his weight as well. So I know he's got Joe, a super talented guy. He's got all world receiver and Jamar Chase as well. But the fact that that team didn't crumble or fall apart when Jamar Chase was out of the lineup for an extended period of time, that team didn't crumble or fall apart because Joe Burrow's getting smacked 10 times a game in a playoff game on the road. That team didn't fall apart when you go spend all this money on a new offensive line and only to find out that you could have saved that money because the offensive line is still just as bad as it was last year. And yet and still, they are consistently, and I think unquestionably to this point, the team right behind the team. They're the guys right behind the guys. So Kansas City, Patty Mahomes, we know that's the top of the mountain. But if you're talking AFC football, right there next to that is Joe Burrow and those Bengals and Zach Taylor's Bengals. And so I think it's time. I think he's shown to me. I feel like I've seen his worth now is what I'm getting at. And so wanted to give him his flowers, man. Like I said, man, I made him earn it though, man. I wasn't trying to give him no slack. But I think I've seen enough now to where I feel like, no, yeah, this is a great coach that has great pieces, or this is a very good coach with good pieces, and not just a coach that has great pieces sitting in front of him. So I feel like I feel like I feel like he's shown me his worth, and I think he deserves a spot on this list for your boy.
Gotcha. But for some of the things that you mentioned, Willie Jack is the reasons why he didn't make my list. I didn't think he. I wanted to see more from Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor is as far as what I saw is to me is still kind of inconsistent. Now 2 wins, 4 wins. You know what I mean? Those are some rough seasons, man. And the one thing about a lot of the coaches on this list is even when they don't have those guys, even when all the pieces don't look sweet or good, they still manage and pull off 6-7 wins in those seasons, man. They still are competitive teams. They don't just lay down. They still have a different characteristic about them. You know what I'm saying? And maybe you can put that on him being, a first year head coach or second year head coach. That's fine. I think guys grow, they learn, you know what I'm saying? So I respect that aspect. But the reason why he missed mine, and he's not low. He's not low.
I got you.
But the reason why he didn't quite make my list is because, I can't help but feel like, man, maybe is this a Joe Burrow thing? Is this a Jamar Chase thing? You know what I'm saying? Is this what's going on? And my guy still got sacked, was getting sacked 10 times a game. You know what I'm saying? So
if you let me rebut just 1 second,
you do your thing, Willie Jack.
If you let me rebut real quick, because I do hear what you're saying, but I think the fact that I think like I started to feel that like he's able to overcome some of his own team's shortcomings because this can't be easy to scheme because he's the offensive guy for that. So he's the offensive guy for that team. So he's one of those coaches, like you were saying before, where he's the head coach and he's also the guy that's that the offense generally runs through him. And so seeing him, the way they've had success and been able to be successful and be competitive in fact of that offensive line. And then especially in those early years, very young coach. Also, don't forget the guy they drafted to be a Super Bowl quarterback, Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow gets hurt as well. And so, I mean, it's a lot for any coach to still
absolutely
maintain and sit somewhere around 9-10 wins when your franchise quarterback goes down and then you're playing with backups. Everybody came. I've seen it happen. You know what I'm saying? I had a guy named Duck Hodges who ain't in the league no more. I don't know how he made it. I had a guy named Duck Hodges, boy, get me to the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? But that's Ice Mike. We'll talk about him later. But
that's
what
I'm saying, man. We Mike Tomlin ain't getting into those excuses, man. So
but
Zach Taylor.
But what I'm saying is that I think that can be. I think that's an accept. I think I don't know, man. I felt a little different. I felt that. I think he still had that team performing and get them to rebound. And this is the thing too; it wasn't all sweet. Even this last year, Jamar's out for an extended period of time. They had to kind of get themselves going. Now Joe Burrow is playing lights out ball. He's playing, out of his mind. But I don't know. In my mind, man, it felt different. I didn't feel like I didn't feel like just Joe was showing up and like, hey man, I'm Joe, man. All right, I'm rambling now, but I guess I should say I think seeing those struggles, seeing where they got to, and then now seeing them consistently be in contention for a Super Bowl, seeing them in position to even win that Super Bowl, and I think some of those things that can be viewed as downsides, I look at it as, well, he's found a way to get this team to succeed in spite of, and he's done it now for, I think this is going to be he's done it now for 3 seasons or so. And so I think I thought that was a credit to him when I looked at it that way. But I see what you're saying. Like it sounds like the way you feel about him is how I feel about Matt LaFleur, because he ain't did what Matt LaFleur ain't did what Zach Taylor's did, and he made the list, man. So I don't know, but I understand what you're saying there, though. I do.
Yeah. I got you. Well, come on back then. Come on back with your number 7, my dog.
Number 7 for your boy, Chop. I'm gonna go to
it, man.
Number 7 for your boy. This is where I've got Nick Sirianni, so the coach for the Eagles, and so just a little higher than Chop, but I think he's a guy that for a lot of the reasons that Chop said. So young guy, he gets there, and I've seen the growth. There we go. That's a good way to say it, because we saw the rough start. We saw going into that situation, following that team looking like they're imploding. So the Eagles. The way when a team loses its franchise quarterback and its head coach, Super Bowl winning head coach, as concurrently as they did with Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson both leading that organization, that could have crippled that organization for the next decade. You know what I mean? Like sometimes teams just don't bounce back from that type of like those type of losses. You lost the two most important pieces to a franchise and a storied franchise, the way the Eagles are. And so to see a guy come in unheralded, or a lot of us didn't know his name. I remember when his name got announced for the conference. I didn't know. Nobody knew who he was. You know what I mean? And so, but to see him get in there, pick up all those pieces, go through that fire, go through those growing pains with Jalen Hurts, the confidence in his own ability as a coach, the confidence in a player like Jalen Hurts, and letting him make, like, going through that, taking those lumps on the head, taking those lumps and getting through to the other side, and then seeing, the fruits of that labor pay off in such a big way. They were easily the most dominant team in football during that Super Bowl run. And if not for Jalen Hurts getting injured, and if not for some of the worst officiating we've ever seen in the last 5-10 years or so here now, this was the team that could have threatened those 72 Dolphins as far as the regular season. Now, which, it could have really threatened that. And then, like I said, if not for two plays in the Super Bowl, player error plays, and then maybe he's a Super Bowl winning coach now in that second year as well. And so I think it has been a short sample size, but I think the results in this instance speak for itself. Like, this isn't a situation where he showed up and had a Joe Burrow. He showed up and had a Patrick Mahomes. No, he had a second string guy who lost his starting job as a quarterback in college. This is the guy who came in and led his team, and that he got to this point now to where he's an MVP candidate, and he's a guy, and they're a team that looks to be right there at the top, for the next foreseeable future. And so I am curious or anxious to see how it looks for them going forward. He did lose both of his coordinators, but judging off of what he's done so far to this point, and then also, like I said, I still think this is still a team on the rise. Just like you said, Howie Roseman is a man possessed. I don't know how they're letting Howie Roseman get away with highway robbery in front of us all for about the last 3-4 years here now, with all the players and pieces that they've brought in. And just kind of like you said as well, man, it's one thing to bring those players in. It's another thing to get those players to work, and to get those players to work and succeed to the level that they have. And so I think all of that is a credit to Nick Sirianni. And like I said, it is a short body of work, but hey, man, great is great whenever it happens. And I think to this point, man, he's shown himself to be a young, great coach.
Gotcha. Well, hey, he got another test ahead of him this year, man. So we got to see what's going on with him. He's gonna have a test of making this work, man. Definitely, for sure. Moving on to my number 7, Willie Jack, and this is where I'm gonna go with my home guys, man. My squad, man. That Los Angeles Rams, man, and Sean McVay. Okay, now we always talk about how the game has changed. That's been one of that's been people's favorite thing to say, is the game has changed, man, how different it is. This is a passing game, or whatever the case may be. Okay. And as time goes by, you begin to see more of the more new creative minds and different ways to attack defenses. Okay. And I think McVay is one of those guys, who developed some of those different strategies. Okay. With McVay still being the youngest coach, I think he's one of the guys who paved the way for other young coaches. Okay. You already mentioned one of the guys, Mike McDaniels. You know what I'm saying? He's 39. D'Amico Ryans just got hired. This is his first year. He's 38. Kevin O'Connell and Shane Steichen, 2 head coaches. They're both 37. Okay. Of those 5 guys, including Sean McVay, man, 4 of them have been or have been offensive minds of some of the most innovative and explosive offenses, man. And with, of course, Kevin O'Connell, we saw what he just did. For Justin Jefferson was already good, but Justin Jefferson took it up another notch and almost went to 2,000 yards. He also got the Vikings to 12 wins last year. In his first year as the head coach. Former offensive coordinator of Sean McVay, Shane Steichen, just landed him a job. You know what I'm saying, for his first year, and after the job that he did with under Nick Sirianni, who we just got done talking about. And then you already mentioned Mike McDaniel and his young mind and him, how creative he is. So Sean McVay is, I think, one of the guys who kind of started that trend. Like, hey man, we can start get some of these younger guys, these young fresh minds, who's not going to continue to do it the old school way, and change some things up, and we can be successful with that. And you saw that multiple times with Sean McVay. Okay, the season being most notable is, of course, the Super Bowl season where we won And and even before then, when that offense won in the shootout against Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, who's arguably, well, not arguably, he is the best quarterback in the league right now, and that Chiefs team with a quarterback and Jared Goff, a guy who a lot of people felt like was a mediocre at best quarterback. Like Sean McVay led those offenses to some of the best performances and put them in some of the best positions. So for me, I love Sean McVay, man. I love what he's got going. He's got a different challenge on this plate. Last year was a little bit of a rough year, man, but I think he's done enough to show and prove that, hey, he's here. He's one of the best in the business, and he's gonna continue to stay, man. So Sean McVay is my number 7 head coach, going into the 2023 season.
No, gotcha.
Okay, I know what that means. Okay, I'm gonna give you a push. You did. I know what that means. So moving on to my number 6, Willie Jack. My number 6, and I'll do my number 6. Willie Jack, you come back with your number 6, then we'll take a little bit of a break here, and then we'll bring it home with each of our top 5. So, man, going to my number 6, and this is where I said you had my dog a little bit too low, man. Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is my number 6 coach going into the 2023 season. All right, and this last year I think did a lot to Curl's ranking for me. All right. We talked about it on multiple episodes. Let Russ cook. You know what I'm saying? The infamous let Russ cook for my dog Willie Jack. Let him do his thing. And a lot of people just assume that, hey man, your offense is too old, you're too laid back, you want to run the ball, you got this old school stuff, and you don't want to do it the way that Russ would like to do it. Russ is a top 5 quarterback in the league. Russ is this, and that. Pete Carroll said, all right, yes, just y'all say, Russ, hey man, go on do your thing, go cook somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Broncos country, let's ride. Go ahead and do your thing, brother. Go ahead and go over to Denver, do your thing over there, and see how that pans out. Meanwhile, Gino, I know you're already here in the building. You know a system. I'm gonna give you this opportunity and watch what we do with it. First season, they go 9-8. Now, granted, 9-8 doesn't sound tremendous. But with the thoughts that we had about this team going into that season, people expected them to win 3, maybe 4 games, to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. And for Pete Carroll to put that team together and lead Geno Smith to having the highest completion percentage of his career and the highest in the league, I mean, it's a lot that you can say about that, man. It's a lot that you can say, and he's done a tremendous job. Now with what he is in the building, they've continued to grow. They brought in a lot more young pieces, some talented pieces on defense, and some more pieces on offense for Geno Smith. I expect them to show some improvement. I expect them to be better in this division, in this NFC, especially in a weak NFC. Pete Carroll has shown me. He's shown me that he's one of the best in the business, man. And just because I'm getting a little bit older, this thing still works, and I still know how to run a football team. So Pete Carroll is my number 6 quarterback going into 2023, dog.
I think you said quarterback, man. You meant coach, but nah, like I said, man.
My fault.
But no, man. And like I said, man, honestly, and I can't. But like I said, I share the same sentiment, man. Man, and I tell you, it even to help prove my point, Pete was up and down my list as well. Honestly, I don't think I had him at 6 though. I think I had him as high as 7, and then I ended up finishing with him at 9 when I went through it. But here's what I just realized I did, Chop.
What you do?
Man, I listed one of my I read one of my coaches out of order, man. Zach Taylor was meant to be my number 6 quarterback, and I read him at number 8. So I guess now I'm gonna double back and read my 8 quarterback in place of this 6.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Read your 8 in place of the 6. We'll go to break, and we're gonna come back with the top 5.
Yeah, there we go. My bad, man. So let me back up a little bit. Number 8 for your boy. I went with Brian Daboll, man. And it's been 1 year, and this head coach for the New York Giants. So 1 year as a head coach. And then I was on these Giants and on Chop about how I didn't believe in them, and I believe it was real anyway. And it's not for anything, any slight against Brian Daboll, but I just didn't have faith in that Giants team. But just seeing what he did in that 1 year, I think was phenomenal. changed the trajectory of Daniel Jones for sure. Daniel Jones was another guy trending towards, trending bust or whatever the case. You know what I mean? So a guy who looked like he was destined for to be the next Sam Darnold, a guy that went to the big city, couldn't get it going. Maybe the city was too big for him. Or whatever the case, the team around him wasn't good enough. He never got to show his stuff. I mean, there was just all these type of narratives around Daniel Jones, and then 1 year under the tutelage of Brian Daboll. Not only now is he $80 million man for right, wrong, or other reasons, but got paid. And he's, uh, he's viewed as a franchise quarterback now. Voila, Brian Daboll. But that alone wasn't enough for me. So the fact that team played the way they did, they were competitive the way they were, they made the playoffs. They won a playoff game as well. So I think all of that is excellent. Is excellent ammunition for why Brian Daboll is a guy to look for on a list like this. But the thing for me as well is I've saw the Buffalo Bills before and after Brian Daboll as well. And I think that's why I felt good about putting him on this list, because two teams were affected by Brian Daboll. The Buffalo Bills, that offense, Big Josh, Stephon Diggs, all those names we know and love, that offense, that team, or especially offensively, but they look completely different. And so it goes a lot to, in my mind, it goes a long way to showing just how valuable, just how impactful, just how far-reaching Brian Daboll's influence and how important he was to that team and their overall success, even as the coordinator, that the team just has a completely different look or feel to it offensively. I felt like for 17 games last year, they never found rhythm at all. It was Big Josh making big plays, and then when that tempered or wore off, there was nothing behind it anymore. There wasn't dynamicism as far as from the coaching, from the scheme, or from the offense, or adjustments or things that we could do week in and week out. You know what I mean? So it looked like they tried to color by number, following his old pattern, and without him there making the magic happen, I think we all can agree it was definitively a different feel to that offense when he left. And then on top of that, so seeing that, and then now I add that to the job that we saw him do with Daniel Jones, making him a viable starter, finessing somebody and believing he's a franchise guy worth $100 million, et cetera, whatever the case may be. And then, like I said, that team making a lot with a little is a nice way to put that, and what he did and what he accomplished, and only in year one. And so I wanted to give him a little love and give him a shout out, man. So Brian Daboll was meant to be my number 8 guy, and then number 6 should have been Zach Taylor, head coach from the Bengals that we just talked about.
Gotcha, Willie Jack, and I got that switched around for you, and I like Brian Daboll on this list. Brian Daboll did have a very impressive first season as a head coach with the New York Giants. The way he did that team, we already talked about it before. Nobody even knew the receivers. We knew Saquon Barkley and we knew Daniel Jones.
Right.
And probably the only reason we knew Daniel Jones is because he was the quarterback. So
yeah, exactly right.
That's how that worked. Of course, they had solid offensive line or whatever, but the way he orchestrated that team and to get them the wins they needed to make it to the playoffs, was very impressive. He just missed my list. He was right there in that mix. But I'm curious to see what happens this next year. He's another one of those coaches. He's like Mike McDaniels. 1 year, cool. Come on back that second year, man. Yeah. At least Nick Sirianni did it for 2. You know what I'm saying? So I want to see Brian Daboll come on back again. So he added some weapons. You got your guy back. He's in the building, and Saquon Barkley, and you've added a few other pieces. So come on back, run it back again. Last year it was like, okay, all right, you caught everybody off guard. Let me see you do it again.
No, exactly.
That's where I met with him.
No, I feel that completely, man. Yeah,
absolutely, Woody Jack. So, now we're gonna take a little bit of a break, man. We're gonna take a little break, but everybody that's right here, don't go nowhere, because we got an important message for y'all, man. Important message for y'all. We always talk about the 3 amigos, man. Hey, and my dog Woody Jack said it best. This is what y'all got to do right here, man. So we'll be right back.
Come on, man.
Just a second.
Episode of Let the Film Speak, hosted by the wonderfully handsome and intelligent brothers of Let the Film Speak. That's chopping your main man, Willie Jack. Yeah, feel me. Also brought to you by the 3 amigos. Y'all know them and you love them, man. That's the 3 amigos. That's like, that's share, that's subscribe, that's 3 the hard way, that's a 3-piece spicy. You cannot go wrong. Now, I say the same thing every week, so y'all can say that at home with me. I know y'all ready for it. Here we go. It's 3 amigos But it's 4 parts to this process, big dog. First, you just got to tap in. Like my dog said, man, come in, tap in, just say what's up, man. Just holler. Hey, what's up, Three Amigos, man? Like, share, subscribe. Hey, Chop, man, Willie, man, what's going on, man? It's cool. I sit on the couch for sure. Y'all got some cold to drink? Oh man, my man. Yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, man, I'm a Broncos fan. That's all you got to do. That's it. That's easy. And the Chop, come in, sit down, get comfortable, get a cool adult beverage, and let us know who you ride with, big dog. Then tell a friend. Like, man, it's a nice deal in here, ain't it? Man, it's cool. Man, my homeboy was out. He was down. Man, it's cool. I can tell a friend. Tell a friend, man. And you know what? Even better than that, you can tell your friend to tell a friend. Guess what? There's more. You can tell your friend to bring his partner too. Bring one more because we need 4, man. Bring them up into the penthouse. Tap in with your dogs, man. Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. You know we don't wear no watches. We ain't got nowhere else to be but in here kicking football flavor with the fam. And now back to the regularly scheduled program.
All right. Absolutely, absolutely. My dog Willie Jack told y'all what to do, man. Say I need to go ahead and do that. Also, for those who are in here now who weren't here in the beginning, man, we got 2 leagues going on. If you want in, let us know you want in, man. We got the Let the Film Speak Fantasy Football League, man. We got a few members in there already, but if you want to join, man, like, share, and subscribe. And also, let us know you want in on that on the Let the Film Speak Fantasy Football League. All right.
Don't be scared, man. Don't be
scared
now. They get real serious in now.
Hey,
just want to make sure everybody know what they're getting into.
You better know what you're talking about, man. Better know what you're talking about. Better know what you're doing. But we also got the weekly pick'em, man. The weekly pick'em. If you want to be involved with that, we got a few members involved with that too. Let us know. Same thing. Like, share, subscribe, and let us know you want to be a part of the weekly pick'em. Put it in the chat. Say, hey, I want in a weekly pick'em, or say I want in the fantasy football league, man. Let us know. That way we can get you added, man. Get you going, and we can get started, man. But Willie Jack, it's about time to bring it home, man. The top 5, each of our top 5 coaches going into 2023. Here's where it gets sticky. So far, man, neither one of us have had the same names at any spot. And usually we have some of those same things. But I kind of knew that going into this one because of my list. My list was a little funky, a little different, man. And I know what I'm doing too. So that's why I probably had my list like this, man. But Willie Jack, come on with your 5, man. Give me your 5. I'm gonna come right back with my 5-4. All right. Who's your 5 going into 2023, big dog?
Now I got you. So what I did, kind of the way my list kind of broke up, is this bottom 5 was kind of where I think where I got a little of the young guns, man. A little of that new blood kind of infiltrating. You know what I mean? I've got Zach Taylor's on that list. You know, Nick Sirianni's on this list. Mike McDonald's on this list. So I've got 3 guys on my list that have coached, you know, less than 3 years apiece at, you know what I mean, at their stops or whatever the case, right? So a little of the young blood. So the top 5, you know what I'm saying? This is where I kind of get back to those guys. Like I said, man, some of these oldie but goodies, some of these guys that, man, right, wrong, or other, left, right, or upside down, man, these are guys that are going to show up and get the job done, and I feel confident. Regardless of circumstance, I feel like these guys have shown me that these guys have a brand of established football. Their teams show up, they play ball, and they compete. And I'm going to start this number 5 because I don't know if he's going to be on your list.
He is Willie Jack, and I know who you finna put. I can type it up for you right now.
You might got me. Should I let him go? Go ahead and post it. Let's see if you got me. Let's see if you learned a thing too. Let's see. No, you close. Not quite.
Who you got at 5, big dog?
This is where I've got Mike Vrabel. I think Mike Vrabel is a phenomenal football coach. Now, he doesn't have the high side that some of these other coaches does, or that some of these other coaches do. Like, I don't think, well, no, he's made it to an AFC championship game, and then they got spanked at home to Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow's Bengals, even though they sacked Joe Burrow 12 times that game or whatever the case. I'm not going to put that in. I feel like that was Ryan Tannehill's loss. Like, I think I like the way his teams, I feel like he has established himself in that team. They have an established brand of ball. Like, I feel like I'm watching a Mike Vrabel coach football team. This is a very sound defense, a very hard-nosed team. They definitely have their own brand of football. You know, ground and pound. They go through King Henry and all the good things. But I feel like it doesn't matter the circumstance. I think I every year I feel like I just don't see where they're gonna get to, let's say, 10 wins or so. And then they won that division two out of 3 years. They were the number one seed for I think the bulk of a season before injuries and things happen. But I just feel like he has consistently showed me that that his team's going to be prepared. I feel like they're a team that doesn't beat themselves, which is that's one of the things I feel like one of the knocks I feel like I had about Harbaugh here lately is I think he's made decisions that beat himself. I feel like I don't get that from Mike Vrabel. I feel like I know what I'm getting. I feel like even this year right now, it's going to be an ugly year. I have no doubt that for 17 weeks, the Tennessee Titans are going to show up and play competent and competitive football. Now, I don't know how many they'll win. You know what I mean? So it's a little deeper than the raw win.
Absolutely.
But as far as his coaching ability, because coaching, the thing about coaching as well, you got to use what you got. They don't have a great roster right now. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if they'll win 10 games, but I feel confident that the Tennessee Titans are going to show up. They're not going to get the doors blown off of them in just about any game. And then when I look at his record against, let's say, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they show up and that's a hard game if they either win or they make it damn hard for the Chiefs to win in most of those matchups. You know what I mean? And that just goes to show because he doesn't have the roster that Kansas City has. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have the firepower that they had. You know, so but I think it's a credit to his ability as a coach, maximizing his ability, maximizing what he has, getting those guys to play his brand of football, and then getting that to show up week in and week out on Sundays. And like I said, and they've had maybe he hasn't been to the peaks that some of these other guys have been, but he hasn't get too low either, regardless of circumstance. Kind of like we were saying earlier, regardless of circumstance, I feel like his floor still is only so low because he's going to find a way to get it done. And so I think he's a little underrated. He's a little underrated for me, man. I think Mike Vrabel is a phenomenal coach. Phenomenal coach. And so I had to give him a little love, man. Number 5 for your dog, Mike Vrabel.
Gotcha. Willie Jack, and I respect that one, man. I like Mike Vrabel. He just missed my list. You're right. He did not make my list. You were right about that, but he just missed it though. He was right behind. He was right before Brian Daboll in terms of almost making my list. But my reason for this is more so because of some of the things that you said. I think that he gets the guys to play his brand of football, his style, what he wants to coach and what he wants to teach. But I also think that as a head coach, you have to have a little bit of flexibility, man. Have to have the ability to allow players to be themselves and showcase their talent in their way. The thing that got them to the point where they can be as good as they are, allow them to do that. Not saying he just absolutely doesn't at all, but I just one thing I'm really paying close attention to, Willie Jack, because me and you both kind of like this guy. He was raw coming in. Is Malik Willis, man. I'm watching Malik Willis, and I'm just watching the trajectory and just how they're handling him. We knew he was going to be a project coming into the league. Mm-hmm. We knew that from jump. Everybody could see that. When we did the rankings of QBs and coming into the draft, last year in 2022. He was one guy that we felt like was just very raw. So I'm really paying attention to how they're bringing him along because I still feel like he can be a valuable piece on somebody's offense, and he still has tremendous talent. That's without question. He has the talent. We just knew he was going to be raw and he was going to be a little bit of a project. So that's the one thing that I've been paying attention to, and it just makes me feel like, and maybe this could be personal, maybe it could be my own thing, but it makes me feel like I want to see a little bit more flexibility in his coaching style. Kind of going forward.
No, for sure, and I think that's fair. Like I said, I think when I was doing it, like I said, it was these guys. These are guys more so probably kind of like how I personally kind of lean and kind of some of the things I look for, man. And so I do get everything you're saying. And so I can't argue. I can't even knock it.
And I'm not mad at him in the 5 spot. That's why I say it could be my personal opinion. I'm not mad at him at being at your 5 spot either. I think he could definitely be 5 on a lot of people's list. So, so I'm with you there. Definitely with you there.
For sure.
But not my number 5. My number 5 is a guy that at one point I think was the hands down number 1 for most people on their list. And of course, yes, I'm talking about New England Patriots, Bill Belichick, man. Bill Belichick is my number 5 guy going into this 2023 season. And I put Bill and this next guy that I'm going to talk about, once I get to my 4 back to back, because I look at them as very similar coaches. Okay. I think both are going to keep their teams competitive regardless of how bad the situation looks on paper. The difference is one coach who had a QB playing for him who most people right now consider the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? We talking about Tom Brady. Okay. From week to week, he's unpredictable in terms of his defensive schemes. He puts together a game plan to beat. I mean, he put together a game plan. This is 2 years ago now. And I know we're talking about 2023, but he put together a game plan 2 years ago against the Buffalo Bills where his quarterback only had to throw the ball 3 times.
Yeah.
Three times, and they came away with the win in that game. 3 times. There's not. I don't know another coach that can put together a game plan like that and come away with the W. Okay, and then on top of that, he continues to draft and put together good defenses. Once he loses a player, it's almost like he's able to replace it just like that. And these players just come out of out of nowhere. And yet again, he continues to show that regardless of what my team looks like on paper or how bad it may seem, I'm going to keep my team competitive. My team is going to play, like you said with Mike Vrabel, my brand of football, and we're going to be competitive. Everybody do your job, and this is what we're going to do. Although we question a lot of his personal decisions, they still finished 8-9 last year, which is very competitive without an offensive coordinator, Willie Jack. We talked about that going into the season. Without an offensive coordinator, they finished 8-9. You know what I mean? And teams just know when it's time to go play against the New England Patriots, man, you're going to have to strap up, bring your A game and be on point if you want to come away with that W, man. So Bill Belichick, even after these years of, watching him with Tom Brady and all this time, man, everybody's starting to get a real perspective. But at the end of the day, the man is still putting together a competitive team. So I had to put Bill Belichick in my number 5 spot.
All right, Chop, I'm going to say something here.
Talk to me.
I don't want you to lose it. I left Bill Belichick off my list, but I did it intentionally, though. See, I did it intentionally because I think Bill has got to the level, like Bill's, like Bill's with the guys now, man. You know what I'm saying? Like Bill's one of those guys. Like it goes without saying, Bill's a great coach because the way I felt is like. I feel like this as well. Regardless of the success and Brady, how much it was Brady, how much it was him, regardless of all that, I feel like that Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time, right? If in my limited 35-year perspective on this earth, you know what I'm saying? So for me, he's the greatest coach of all time. So like, if I'm ranking coaches and I don't have the greatest coach of all time, I was like, you know what, man, Bill. I don't know. I left Bill off this list. It's almost like when you hear. Like, let's say if you're talking greatest rapper alive or something like that, or if you're talking like top 5 greatest rappers, whatever. For a lot of people, like the list, the top 3 guys or 3 of the top guys you'll list for a lot of people, let's say are Tupac, Biggie, and Nas, or Tupac, Biggie, and Jay-Z. You know what I mean? So it's like, it goes without saying. Like, we're talking greatness, you know what I'm saying? We're talking NBA, like, it goes without saying, man. We're like, these guys are, I felt like I feel like right now, Bill is Michael Jordan, is Michael with the Wizards. You know what I'm saying? Still good, but he's not prime Bull Jordan, but he's still the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? He's still the guy. So I was, like I said, I was playing around with him, man. I had him somewhere in there. Yeah, I ended up leaving him off. I didn't feel right talking about Bill on these coaches. I'm gonna have him behind some of these guys that aren't, I don't know, man. I couldn't get it to work in my mind, man. So I purposely and intentionally just left Bill out of it, man. Like, look, man, Bill's with the guys, man. We know what's up with Bill. So I left him off.
Okay. I ain't mad at you, Willie Jack. I ain't mad at you. And before I move on to my number, my number 4, we had a couple comments, man. Wifey came in here, but she say, Bill. She said, man, it always looks disgruntled and got a mean mug. Hey, that is Bill Belichick, man. Bill Belichick, you rarely see him smile, man. Man, the only time you see him smile is when he talking to some of the Hall of Famers, some of the greats, man, just kicking it, just shooting the stuff with some of those guys, man. You rarely see that boy smile.
Oh, yeah. When Bill's between them lines, man, it's all business, man. When Bill cut them sleeves off that sweater, he ain't playing no games, man.
Oh, he ain't playing no games.
When Bill cut them shoulder sleeves off, he ain't playing no games, man. Don't talk. Hey, do your job. and get the hell on, man. Bill ain't playing
Absolutely.
no
And
game.
then T he came through, man. He
Hey,
talking about
come
some
on,
extra people Bravo, man. He
hey
loved the
Tori, hey brother-in-law, you done redeemed yourself, man. You all right, man. Brother-in-law, all right. Yeah, brother-in-law know what's going on, man. Appreciate you, bro.
All right, Willie Jack. Well, here's where I go to my next guy, man. The guy I know, Willie Jack, you know what I'm saying, with love, you know what I'm saying, on my list, loves when I give him some praise, man. I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach, Mike Tomlin, man. Mike Tomlin, one of the best in the business for sure, man, amongst the top. He's right in that conversation, man. They're up the top tier guys. You know what I'm saying? If we talking tiers, man, there's a little bit of a larger group when we talking about tiers, when we talking about the coaches, man. It's Mike Tomlin. I definitely agree that he's in that top tier. Okay. Now, of course, most people will say he is a good coach. All right, but I think he can easily move up this list with a little bit more postseason success. All right. Now, as of late, you know, it's been rough. You know what I'm saying? And over in the AFC, getting having success in the playoffs means you have to go through the guy we just talked about, Big Bill and Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? So it's tough. You know what I'm saying? It's always going to be tough. But if you know one thing about the characteristic of the Steelers football, you know that they will be mentally tough and play physical football. And also, another thing that goes a long way in my rankings is head coaches that have the ability to stay competitive regardless of circumstances. And like I said, I had these guys back to back for a reason. Bill Belichick is showing he's still going to be competitive, and Mike Tomlin has done nothing but show that he's going to be competitive. 16 seasons, you know what I'm saying, without a losing record. That's just one thing, and that's the thing that everybody talks about a lot, you know. But Mike Tomlin embodies a lot of those characteristics of being the physical, playing Steeler football. The standard is the standard. That's what it is. The standard is the standard.
That's a
Most
fact.
people felt like the last 2 years the Steelers were going to finish with a losing record and quite possibly last in the division. But Mike T had other plans. He said, "Oh yeah, y'all keep quiet." Well, my dog Willie Jack say, "Don't tell him nothing. Just shh."
Yeah.
Don't tell them nothing, you
That's
know.
how we like it. Yeah.
And
Let us
slowly
chill
but
in the back. We
slowly,
good.
the
Yeah.
Steelers kept being competitive. They kept fighting, and they end up on the winning side. You know, at the end of these seasons, man, Ben was on his last leg, and somehow they still won games. You know what I'm saying? Even to the point where they won what y'all won like the first 10 games,
11, just
10 and
about
0,
11,
something like that. First 9, 10, 11 games,
11 games,
and,
yeah, 11
and
of.
yeah, man, it was just like I said, regardless of circumstances, Mike Tomlin has showed that in the 16 game or 16 years straight without a losing season. That's just a part of it. It's the leadership, it's the attitude, you know, it's the willpower that keeps Pittsburgh on top, man. And Mike Tomlin embodies that, like I said before. That's the reason why I got Mike Tomlin at my number 4 spot, man, in terms of coaches.
No, man, I ain't mad at that, man. I'm gonna talk about Ice Mike, man.
Of course, I know
I'm
you
gonna talk
will.
about
I
Ice
know.
Mike here pretty shortly, man. So I ain't mad at that at all, man. And then real quick, man, we got a brother-in-law back in the chat with a comment, man. He said Bill is so overrated, did nothing before Brady and ain't gonna do nothing after Brady, but he is an all great defensive mind. See, man, this is the thing. For me, the way I look at like Tom and Bill is similar type the way I looked at Shaq and Kobe. So Kobe's got 5 rings. Those first 3 are Shaq's rings. Those first 3 rings are Shaq's rings, Kobe. You know what I'm saying? And Kobe went and got his rings. And so I feel that way with Bill. Those first 3 rings are Bill's rings. You know what I mean? Those first 3 rings are Bill's, and I think those last 3 rings are Tom and Bill's because those defenses still were critical parts of his coaching and that defense were still critical parts of those successes. But I think Bill could have. I think Bill was going to find a way to be a great coach. Well, I think he was already a great coach. Bill was going to find a way to be successful with or without Tom Brady. I'm not sure that Tom could grow into the Tom that he was for the last 10 years of his career if he doesn't have those first 10 with Bill. Because we got to remember, like I said, this wasn't a heralded guy. Y'all seen Tom with his shirt off when he showed up at the combine, looked like somebody's stepdaddy. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Y'all gonna tell me that guy was destined to win 7 championships and throw for over 50,000 passes and 500 touchdowns? Boy, you're playing yourself. You know what I'm saying? And so Bill's greatness in finding Tom, well, and not to say him directly, but finding Tom. And no, he does have tremendous. He's the de facto GM for that team. So he did go find time. And then not only did he go find time, you know what he did? He gave Tom the starting job over Drew Bledsoe. Now that name doesn't mean much to anybody these days or most people, but you got to remember at the time, Drew Bledsoe was the highest paid quarterback in the league. I think he had just re-signed that deal, signed that deal with the Patriots because they had went to a Super Bowl with Drew Bledsoe. I think 2 years before that, they got waxed, but they had went, and so Drew Bledsoe was a very competitive, and he was imagine a quarterback in the style of not for play, but just let's say for recognition or name recognition or whatever. Think of like a Phillip Rivers when Phillip Rivers was doing his thing. He didn't win any championships, but he was a guy that was established as a top 5 guy. So this is the guy who Bill sits for 6th round noodle body Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? And then not only do we do that, and then to mold and change and do the things he did, crafting that team around a young, not great quarterback in Tom Brady, and then winning championships while Tom didn't throw for 4,000 yards in a season. Tom didn't throw for 30 touchdowns in a season until they got Randy Moss. Randy Moss joined the Patriot team in year 12 of Tom Brady's career. Let's think about that. The greatness of Tom Brady is 8 years old. Because for those first 12, it was he had all the rings. He had none of the sexy numbers. You know what I'm saying? So I think we forget a little bit about just how far Bill came with that first Tom. And then once Randy Moss transformed Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? So, because 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns in a season, those aren't large markers at all. And it was routinely being done. This isn't like, we're not talking early 90s ball. So I got distracted, my bad. But I think we forget just where Tom came from before he did find his own footing and he did, reinvent himself or whatever and do the things he did and then took off for that second half of his career and became the guy that we know and love today. But before that, it was a whole lot more Bill than Tom in that relationship. And so, that's blasphemous, man. You can't talk about big bad boogeyman Bill like that, Tori. Come on, dog.
Hey, and I'll say the only part I'll add to that is sometimes it just takes a coach a little bit of time to be successful. You know what I'm saying? He's not the only coach. Pete Carroll had his time before he had his time with the Seahawks.
For sure.
He had some time, man, and it wasn't good, and it's a couple other coaches that are out there too, man. They go through their struggles, but then the second time around, they get it right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So, who was Phil Jackson before Michael? Who was Pat Riley before Magic Johnson and Kareem? You know what I'm saying? So you still need the ingredients now. You know what I'm saying? Like I could drop chop off in the kitchen and tell them to make me, you know what I'm saying, a 5-course meal. But if I ain't giving them a pancake mix, well, it's only so much he can do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to have the ingredients as well. Now, the mark of a good coach is, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, maybe you can stretch that pancake further than the next man, but it still ain't going to be 5-star unless I get you some Wagyu. You know what I'm saying? I get you some shiitake. I get you, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you really need. And then now you can show me your greatness. So it's still, you still got to have the pieces as well. The coach can only do so much. Absolutely. Now, here's another thing as well. Let's not forget. And you know what, Tori, you're right, bro. He did shut him out. That's what I was going to say. He did shut him out. This is one of the greatest defensive-minded coaches that ever touched the field. You know what I'm saying? Lawrence Taylor, LT. A lot of people still hold him as the greatest defensive player to play football. That's Bill Belichick. That's Bill. That scheme, the things he did to help accentuate the talent and the skill set and the athleticism of LT. We say commonly, LT redefined defensive football. Well, he did that under the tutelage of Bill Belichick. That was Bill Belichick's defense. You know what I'm saying? So, like, man, Bill's a phenomenal coach, man. Yeah, Bill. You can't say enough about Bill. This is why I left Bill off my list. Because if I'm talking about Bill, I'm like, well, man, it's hard. How can I argue against Bill for them? It's Bill. You know what I mean? Hey, I let him step away.
I feel you, Willie Jack. But look, man, come on with your number 4. That's all. Come on with your number 4, man.
Brandon Lawton got me talking, man. Number 4, man. This is where I got my dog, man. You had him a minute ago, man. This is where I got Doug Peterson. So I'm a big Doug Peterson fan. I really am. I couldn't believe that the Eagles stepped away from Doug Peterson. It was time to pull the plug and cut ties with Carson Wentz. And in my mind, I was like, man, you don't fire a Super Bowl winning coach. You know what I mean? Not for not in that circumstance, especially when he won that Super Bowl without the quarterback. So if we're beefing between the two, and yeah, Carson Wentz was the guy we drafted, and yeah, he had 12 hot games. Well, then unfortunately, man, history, fate, whatever struck. And then you know what happened? After they lost a franchise quarterback who was the MVP leader at that time, they didn't tank it. They didn't turn tail. He put in Nick Foles, who was also a journeyman guy who no one could have ever predicted that he would have been viable, let alone have the run they do and then go win a Super Bowl. Not only did they have the run they had with Nick Foles to go win a Super Bowl, he beat Bill. He outcoached Bill. Now he like Bill was going to lose that Seahawks game, that Seahawks Super Bowl, but he wasn't outcoached by Pete Carroll. Doug Peterson whooped Bill Belichick's ass. He outcoached Bill Belichick from almost the opening bell. And I don't know if there's ever been a time that we can say that the Patriots lose, they don't beat themselves, and you don't beat Bill. Sometimes you just win the game, but you ain't beat Bill, and Bill didn't beat himself. Nah, Doug Peterson whooped Bill's ass. And Bill Belichick is 1,001, and that one L is Doug Peterson. I don't know if I've ever felt that Bill Belichick's been out coached. Doug Peterson is that guy. Comes from that Andy Reid tree. I'm a big Andy Reid guy as well. And I'm not talking you new Andy Reid fans since he got Patrick Mahomes Kansas City. I'm talking about when Freddie Mitchell was catching passes from Donovan McNabb in 98. You know what I'm saying?
On fourth and 22.
On fourth. Oh, Chop, no. See? Chop know what I'm talking about. So I'm a Andy Reid guy anyway. He comes from that tree, but I think he's a phenomenal coach. Matter of fact, Chop will probably tell y'all, the last time we did a coach ranking show, Doug Peterson was in my top 5. He wasn't a coach. He didn't have a team yet. He made my top 10 coaching list before he got that Jaguars job. You know what I'm saying? Because I like his coaching. You know what I mean? I can see his schemes. I like what he does. I saw the job he did. And then, like I said, man, him giving the business to Bill in that Super Bowl, man, I think cemented him. And then even now, seeing what he did in such a short time for Trevor Lawrence. We saw the dumpster fire that was Urban Meyer. My dog Chop did call that. So going in there, it's like the way they were able to so quickly I almost forget that whole year. I forget that Urban Meyer was there and that Trevor Lawrence looked like he was a bust or he looked terrible. You know what I'm saying? And I forget all of that because instantly he gets there. Trevor Lawrence is now a guy he's the guy that he was thought to be when he was coming into this league. He's the guy that's going to be in line next for a Justin Herbert size contract when that time comes for himself. And you know what I mean? So like all of that in such a short time period in 1 year with Doug Peterson, and then seeing as successful as they were as well. Make the playoffs, get a playoff win in a game that you're down 4 touchdowns to Justin Herbert. Chops dog. You know what I'm saying? Coming back and winning that game, and that's year one. And so now going forward, I've already seen what he's done. I know where he can take this thing, and so I'm excited for their future as well going forward. But yeah, Doug Peterson, number 4 for your dog.
Gotcha. I like that one, Willie Jack. I definitely like that one, man. So come on back with your number 3, dog. Who did you have at your number 3 spot, big dog?
Number 3. This is where I got the man, the myth, the legend, Ice Mike, Coach Mike Tomlin for my Pittsburgh Steelers, man. And man, my dog Chop, man, he said a lot of glowing and loving things about my dog Ice Mike, and we appreciate that. But man, he ain't told no lies, man. Consistency, consistently showing up regardless of circumstance. I don't think any coach in the league does this or exhibits this quality better than Mike Tomlin, because Mike Tomlin, he's lost his starting quarterback. He's had to play a second string guy. Then he lost a second string guy. He's had to play Duck Hodges was the 4th string practice squad quarterback who ended up starting 6 games. And this is a year that, of course, we still finish above 500 and are right there down to the wire about whether or not we're going to, you know what I mean? Like in the playoff hunt, regardless of circumstance. Guys falling, losing guys. Starting this year with Mitchell Trubisky, dumpster fire. You know what I'm saying? Transitioning into rookie Kenny Pickett starts off as a dumpster fire. 2-8 at the bye week. 2-7 at the bye week with your rookie, and then finishing that year 9-8. Just this last year, 9-8. And if not for a tiebreaker we lost between us and the Jets, we were a playoff team. We were going to the playoffs. We lost a tiebreaker to the Dolphins or the Jets, one of those two, whatever it was. You know what I mean? But so remaining consistent in the face of such grand adversity, and then doing it for as long as he has. And I really think, and even saying this as a fan, but I could be honest, we've overachieved more times than not, and I think that's a credit to Mike Tomlin. So he's got the record or that streak, the above 500. But regardless of whether or not it was above 500 or not below 500, I think there was an 8-8 year in there as well, or whatever the case. But I truly feel that even in some of those years where we made the playoffs and we're out in the first round, honestly, I don't think the team was good enough to get there. But it's a credit to Mike Tomlin and the things that we talk about as far as consistently getting the team to rise to the occasion, finding a way to have guys find a way to win, regardless of what's going on. And so I think Mike Tomlin, like I said, does that better than just by anybody in the league, man. And if like I said, I'm hungry for it, man. I can't wait to get some more postseason success, man. Because like I said, he could have even been a spot or so. No, not or so. He probably could have been a spot higher, like I said, man. If we find a way to start winning in January again, but yeah, man. Other than that, there's just not much more I can ask for, man. When you're talking about a guy like Mike Tomlin as your coach.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Willie Jack, and that's why I said like he's a coach that with a little bit more postseason success can definitely move up this list easily. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with you there where you got him, man. But moving on to my number 3, Willie Jack, and yes, you did have this guy on your list last year. You did talk about him a lot, man, and I wasn't. He actually didn't even make my list. But Willie Jack, you kind of talked me into it, man. And then just looking at the situation, looking at the position he was put in, and what he made of that, man, it let me know that, hey, man, this guy's the real deal. And honestly, he has to be happy to have ended up in this situation. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a firm believer in being taken out of a situation that looks to be a good situation. You know what I'm saying? But to only be placed in a better situation, in the long run. And I think that's what happened with Doug Peterson, being taken out of that Philadelphia Eagles situation and being put in this Jacksonville Jaguar situation, because now you got a third-year quarterback who is ascending and looking to be a, hopefully a top guy in this league, a top 10 quarterback, and maybe even has the chance to continue to move up that list. And you know how it is if you have a successful quarterback and you're a successful coach and they have that successful relationship, what these can look like. Like as long as Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid, his job is safe. As long as Tom Brady was the quarterback of the New England Patriots, Bill Belichick was good. You know what I'm saying? And you could say that about so many other different players. So now Doug Peterson is in a situation to where he can continue to mold and groom young Trevor Lawrence into, a great quarterback, and who knows what that'll look like. You know what I'm saying? So he's only entering his second year as the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, but it's made a tremendous impact already. Okay. Before he became the head coach, there were question marks about the trajectory of Trevor Lawrence, like you said, Willie Jack, and his career. Was he going to be a bust, and so on and so forth? Okay. And as a rookie, Trevor Lawrence didn't show any signs of becoming a long-term player. And in just that season that he was there, he went from he doubled in touchdown passes, and he cut in half his interceptions. Went from 17 to 8, and I think in terms of touchdown passes, he went from like 14 to 30. You know what I'm saying? So that is the impact that Doug Peterson has on his Jacksonville Jaguars team. He also let us got every piece of penny worth it out of a guy who we didn't feel like was worth $23 million, and Christian Kirk. Like he came over there, and because of Doug Peterson and the situations that he put him in, he got every penny out of Christian Kirk. Then you add more weapons this year. You know what I'm saying? Continuing to help this team get better. Doug Peterson, it's looking really good for Doug Peterson over in that particular division, man, and I think they could be really successful over there. He's a great offensive mind, and I think he's the perfect match for this Jaguars team. And I think this is only the beginning, which is the reason why I got him at this number 3 spot. I was going to talk a little bit about his Eagles' success, but you already kind of mentioned that, Willie Jack. But
sure.
Yeah, I got Doug Peterson in my number 3 spot, man. I think that he could also be a guy to move up this list fairly soon, depending on what happens with him in this pairing with Trevor Lawrence.
No, good choice, Jack. Good choice, my dog. Yeah.
Gotcha. And these last two guys, man, I would imagine me and Willie Jack probably have the same two names. I don't know which order he has them in, but he'll be a fool to have it in any other order that's different than mine. But I'm gonna go ahead and jump into my number two guy, man. I gotta go with the San Francisco 49ers own Kyle Shanahan, man. And if you follow Let the Film Speak, you know your boy Chop started calling these boys the will or machines before Purdy ever took a snap as the starting QB of the San Francisco 49ers. All right. And a big reason for, matter of fact, not a big reason. And the reason for that is Kyle Shanahan. Okay. Kyle Shanahan pretty much built, I won't necessarily say a QB proof system, but one where he only needs a few characteristics from a quarterback for you to be successful.
You sure it's not QB proof? It might be QB proof, bro.
Here's the reason why. The reason why I say QB proof is because Josh Johnson didn't come in there and looking the same once Brock Purdy got hurt.
Hey, look, the man was there for 3 days. If he'd been there for 4 days, he might have been better.
If he was there for 4. So look, so for those reasons, I wouldn't say QB proof. All right, but he just looks for, like I said, a few characteristics that Jimmy G had, characteristics that Brock Purdy had. You know what I'm saying? Characteristics of QBs that nobody else cared for, which was obvious when they drafted Purdy at the last pick of the draft. You know what I'm saying? Of the entire draft, they drafted him as the last pick. Nobody was looking for Purdy like that. You know who was? Shanahan. Because Purdy had those characteristics that he was looking for, which is the reason why he can come in and fit seamlessly as the third string quarterback and play like, hey man, it's like he been here. You know what I'm saying? And look better than Jimmy G doing it. You know what I'm saying? That's what Kyle Shanahan does for this offense, man. And it's also the reason why, here's the crazy part. There's sources out there saying that Sam Darnold is looking damn good in this 49ers scheme in camp. Now, we know this is camp, you know what I'm saying? So we only can go so far with that. But we're talking about Sam Darnold that's been terrible with the Jets, terrible with Carolina, has been struggling throughout his career. If somehow Sam Darnold gets an opportunity to play because of injury or whatever the case may be, and he comes out and he looks good, hey man, y'all better start signing Kyle Shanahan up for the Hall of Fame, man. Because that's not probably not another coach. Probably not another coach that can do that and set them up. So we saw those different things, man, and we know what Kyle Shanahan does, and we've seen multiple times what teams look like without their starting guy. We've seen the Ravens without Lamar. We've seen Miami without Tua. We've seen Philly without Hurts. We saw San Francisco without Jimmy G and Trey Lance. And what they do, they rolled into the playoffs, dominated the Dallas Cowboys. You know what I'm saying? And, with a couple other different things, man, they end up losing that game to Philly. But Kyle Shanahan, man, is a great offensive mind. It's a genius, man. And hey, I really wanted to put him in number one, but I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. But Kyle Shanahan is my number two quarterback going into. I mean, I keep saying quarterback. Number two coach.
There you go. Yeah, I was just going to message you. But I think you hit the nail on the head, man. No surprises here. So Kyle Shanahan also my number two quarterback as well.
Look at it. I got you.
It's your fault. You did that. See, that's on you. That's on you. Kyle Shanahan is also my number two quarterback coach in the league as well. I can't believe I did it again. I promise it wasn't on purpose. Second best coach in the league, if for my money, is also Kyle Shanahan. And for a lot of things you just said, I ain't gonna lie, man. Chop still owe us a bag, man, because we could have coined that well-oiled machines, boy. I remember when Greg Olson said it on TV. I was like, I was mad. I think I messaged you, like, bro, we could have had shirts. Yeah, yeah, man. But no, phenomenal job. And you talk about kind of with one of the things I said before is like really leaving a tangible imprint on a football team. And so I think that's what we've seen. That when Chop says well-oiled machines, that's because Shanahan has firmly ingrained himself in that team, on that team and with those players. And like I said, they have an established winning style of football that can only be credited to him. And then we've seen the I guess the prowess of his system, because my dog Chop just told you they were a game away from the Super Bowl with Mr. Irrelevant as the quarterback. And then that's also a talent or a credit to Kyle Shanahan because he had to go find that guy. You know what I mean? Like when the team drafts a late round quarterback, you can believe it's because they have to have a conversation with the coach. Like, yeah, man, there's a little late round flyer on this kid out of Iowa State. You know what I mean? If he's still hanging out and we don't have nobody left to pick at the end of the night, why not take this guy? And then, so you go get this guy. The fact that he even made that team probably goes a long way. Well, it's a credit to Brock Purdy as well. But just knowing that Brock Purdy probably didn't get a single live rep in practice, like with the actual ones, or you know what I mean? Like he didn't get a live rep for probably the first 2 months of the season until Jimmy G goes down, or Jimmy and Trey both go down, and then he has to come in and on the fly be able to be prepared, show up, and then still play winning football. And so that's all a credit to Kyle Shanahan and seeing what he's done. And then also, like we said as well, he's established himself as a consistent contender as well over these last, let's say, 4 years or so since he's been out there in San Francisco. And then there's another thing as well, and we do like to poke fun at Jimmy G. Jimmy G should be a Super Bowl champion. So everything that we say about Jimmy G, everything that people say and laugh and joke and talk about Jimmy G was a butt-ass naked Emmanuel Sanders for a 40-yard touchdown, you know what I'm saying, away from beating Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and maybe changing the story or the trajectory of this league. Like right now, like Jimmy G could be a Super Bowl champion. If he's a champion, I don't know if it's hard. I don't know if you even draft Trey Lance. I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like we just don't know how this unfolds. And then not only were they a play away or so from being Super Bowl champions, if Jimmy G doesn't get hurt that next year, they look ready to run it back. You know what I mean? And then Jimmy gets hurt that next year, and then that prompts them to make that dumbass trade to go trade up one spot to get Trey Lance. You know what I'm saying? When you probably could have had Justin Fields or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But so just so many things changed or happened because Jimmy missed a wide ass open throw. Then you got to ask yourself, well, why was he wide ass open? Well, because Kyle Shanahan knows what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? And then even another thing, even deeper than that, his time in Atlanta, which gets a little overlooked, right? Because it didn't, because they didn't bring it home. But Matt Ryan was an MVP under Kyle Shanahan, not an MVP consideration. Matt Ryan was the MVP of a league under Kyle Shanahan. And as funny as we like to laugh and joke about it now in hindsight, he was whooping Bill Belichick's ass for 2.5, 28-3, infamous. You know what I mean? Infamous. 28-3. Bill couldn't do nothing with that boy. You know what I'm saying? And if Devontae Freeman doesn't miss a block in pass protection, they probably win that game. You know what I'm saying? But then there's a fumble. I mean, just the way the game changes on plays that are kind of out of the coach's hand. That's kind of what I was talking about before, where the coach can only do so much, bro. I can give you a map. I can turn your GPS on. You know what I'm saying? I can handwrite directions in crayon on paper and tell you where to go to find the water. I can't not make you drink it. You know what I'm saying? I can't make you drink it. I can give you a 25-point lead in the Super Bowl, Atlanta Falcons. What else you want me to do? Now, well, okay, in fairness, the play calling there could have been whatever. But my point is, so he's shown himself over a grand period of time to be a supremely gifted offensive mind. He's still a young guy as well, and it's easy to see the imprint and effect that he's had on San Francisco. Doesn't look like that's changing or going anywhere. It looks like one of those teams and situations where he's going to be there as long as he wants to be there. Bill done wrote his ticket in New England. Mike Tomlin wrote his ticket in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys, I think, already in San Francisco. He's going to be the coach of San Francisco as long as he wants to stay there. You know what I mean? And so all that said, man, well deserved. Like I said, we're like minds think alike in this instance. And then I guess number one guy, I guess, is me to hit it first. Andy Reid. I think this one, surprise to no one at all. This day, man, this is Andy Reid's football league, man. It's the Patrick Mahomes league, and Andy Reid is his guy. You know what I mean? And so super happy for Andy. Like I said, I've been a big fan of Andy, man, and Chop as well. Like I say, even dating back to his Philly days, and then to see what he did once he got his hands on a truly special and dynamic weapon. And so just kind of it fits kind of like what I've been saying, where there's only so much you can do without having the ingredients. You got to have the weapon, and you got to have the tools. Now, once I give you the tools, what can you do with them? You know what I'm saying? I can give paint to Chop. I can give paint to Willie. Neither one of us can make the Sistine Chapel. You know what I mean? You still got to be a guy that can go out there and get something done. And so that just goes to show just the greatness of Patrick Mahomes, or excuse me, the greatness of Andy Reid, because he's had quality quarterbacks. Donovan McNabb was a quality quarterback. Alex Smith was a quality quarterback. You know what I'm saying? But none of those guys, you know what I'm saying, he wasn't giving anything special. And then the first time we see him with a guy that's truly special or different, look what he's done. He's taken over, and now they're dominating football in today's NFL. And honestly, doesn't look like it's slowing down. And so the greatness of Patrick Mahomes doesn't at all take away or hinder the greatness of Andy Reid. I really feel that this is truly a pairing of just good on good, big on big, great on great, and that these two together, like I said, man, it looks like, I don't know how old Andy is, how many years he's got left, but I'm telling you what, if him and Patrick Mahomes are together for another 10 years, they're going to compete for another 8 Super Bowls. I mean, that's the kind of run that they look like they're on. It just doesn't look like there's any stopping it. And to be as established of a coach as he is, he was coaching for 20 years before he got Patrick Mahomes. And you know what, Chop? We still see new Andy Reid plays. There's new stuff. You know what I'm saying? So this is a guy that's grown with the times. Like the game didn't pass him by. You know what I mean? So sometimes when coaches are coaching, especially for a long time, and it feels like, okay, like, you know, it's the same stuff over and over, and eventually the league catches up. And even though you're a great coach, well, now we've seen all the tricks, bro. We've seen behind the curtain. We've seen up your sleeve. There's nothing else you can do. No, Andy is still innovating. People are still now studying and stealing his new stuff. You know what I mean? He ain't even got in the bag. You know, so it's a whole new bag. And so all that stuff just goes to points to the genius of Andy Reid. And like I said, man, he's just one of the more likable coaches in the league for myself personally. So, would love to see him having success. And like I said, man, they're still probably the most exciting offensive football in the league, man. And like I said, all that's a credit to Andy Reid.
Gotcha. Willie Jack. And I'm right there with you, man. He is my number one coach as well. And I was gonna touch on some of the same things you touched on. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong, having the best in the business helps you tremendously. You know what I'm saying? But even before then, Alex Smith was a starting quarterback from 2013 to 2017. He won 11, 9, 11, 12, and 10 games. All playoff performances. You know what I'm saying? All play enough to get you in the playoffs. Those are solid win seasons in the 16 games. You know what I'm saying? So Andy Reid has been doing this for a while. Still to this day, it comes up on my Facebook page every once in a while. The greatest passing game ever by Michael Vick was coached and orchestrated by Andy Reid. You know what I'm saying? When have we ever known Michael Vick to ever throw 5 touchdowns in the game? You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. It helped to have the guys that he had, but still, 5 touchdowns in the games by Michael Vick, that was unheard of until Andy Reid orchestrated that up on, like, I think it was like a Sunday night game and against Washington. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. One of the best games we ever seen. But of course, when you put them together with Pat, this is what you get. You get 2 Super Bowl wins. Been to 3 Super Bowls, you get 5 AFC championship games. Like, those are the things that you get with Andy Reid. And the one thing we always say too, you give him a little bit too much time off of a bye week, you might switch.
Oh man, yeah, you can't.
Whatever defensive game plan you got coming along, man. Hey man, you better make sure it's up to par. You better make sure it's good to go. Because
you play Andy at the bye week, boy, you can cancel Christmas.
And Andy Reid done cooked up something, man. He done cooked up something, and I guarantee you it's gonna be delicious. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be falling off the bone, whatever he done cooked up. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. So sure. Yes, I agree with everything you said, Willie Jack, man, and I do have Andy Reid at my number 1 spot as well, sir.
Spot. And you know what, man? Real quick, I know it's time for us to wrap it. I'm glad you shouted out the short time that it was, but when he got his hands on Michael Vick. Because that in and of itself, we saw what Michael Vick was. You know what I'm saying? For all the highlights and all the excitement, and as finally as a lot of us remember Michael Vick, his Atlanta days, and then that short period that he had with Andy Reid, where he actually became a viable or legitimately viable, threatening passer in the league was phenomenal to see. And mind you, this is a Michael Vick that was past 30, past his athletic prime, off of a prison stint, you know what I mean? And so the old saying is old dogs don't learn new tricks. I don't know how many quarterbacks have been able to, let's say, like redefine their game in a way that's competent and successful. They play winning football the way that the transition that we saw from Atlanta Michael Vick to Andy Reid's Michael Vick in just that short time. And then it also makes you think as well, imagine Michael Vick or imagine Michael Vick with Andy this whole time. You know what I mean? Imagine what he could have did then, just seeing what he got to do with an old Michael Vick at the time that he had him. And like I said, the type of success that they were able to have. So, but no, man, phenomenal list. Like I said, I think, like I said, it wasn't gonna be any doubts in my mind, man. When we were writing this list, Andy Reid and Shanahan were 1 and 2 at my list before I wrote down another name. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't close for me. But you want to go ahead and recap your list, bro?
Yep. We can go ahead and recap this list, man. And I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start off at number 10. And I'm gonna run down the list, man. But at number 10, I had Green Bay Packers Matt LaFleur. Number 9, Nick Sirianni, coach of the Eagles. Number 8, John Harbaugh. Number 7, Sean McVay. 6, Pete Carroll. 5, Bill Belichick. 4, Mike Tomlin. 3, Doug Peterson. 2, Kyle Shanahan. And number 1, of course, Andy Reid. What was your list? What did it look like, man?
My list: number 10, Mike McDaniels, coach for the Miami Dolphins. Number 9, Pete Carroll. Number 8, Brian Daboll from the Giants. Number 7, Nick Sirianni from Philly. Number 6, Zach Taylor, Cincinnati. Number 5, Mike Vrabel, Tennessee. Number 4, Doug Peterson, Jacksonville. Number 3, Ice Mike Tomlin from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 2, Kyle Shanahan. And number 1, Andrew Reid of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Gotcha.
I don't know if his real name's Andrew. I just assumed because they called him Andy. Surely they didn't name him Andy. Surely he wasn't named Andy. I'm assuming maybe Andy short for Andrew. I don't know.
Andrew Reid. Hey, listen, bro. Listen.
Hey,
Real quick
for Andy Reid. Have y'all seen that clip of Andy Reid when he was like 9 years old and he was like 6'2", 300 pounds in that punt pass kick competition? And all the other regular size 9-year-old kids are out there. Have you seen that, bro? Andy Reid was like 6'2", 260 pounds at like 9 years old. He was in like a televised punt, kick, and pass competition. And then all the other 9-year-olds are like 4'2" and 60 pounds, and Andy's 2 feet taller and 150 pounds heavier than anybody else on the field. It's funny, but yeah, man. Oh man, hold on, man. My dog Tom in here, man. Hold on, I got you, Tom. He been asking for a little love for his dog, D'Amico Ryans, man. Look, undefeated Ryans, man. Hey, he ain't lying. I'll tell you what, though, man. I am excited to see what D'Amico Ryans does this year with your Texas dog, for real. I was a big fan of him as a player, honestly. Him and Brian Cushing, man, when they were spearheading that Texas defense. I love what he did with that 49ers defense. He got Chop's boy, Tyler, who got him an all-pro in his first year as a starter. Now he goes home to be the coach of your Texans. And so I am excited to see, especially as rough as that start was for C.J. Stroud, as rough as that looked, man, it looked like D'Amico Ryans may have a harder task, at least in the beginning, to get this thing started or get that thing going. But I do have high hopes for your Texans and D'Amico Ryans. I do want to see him do well for sure.
Gotcha. Well, Jack, really quick, man, so we can get on up out of here. Is there anybody you want to mention that just missed your list, man? Any honorable mention or something like that, you guys just want to throw out there?
Yeah, no, for sure. I would think Robert Salah, and so the job he did with that Jets defense. But like I said, that one was a 1 year deal, and then also it was they kind of came out of nowhere. And I feel like he didn't necessarily do enough to crack this list, but he's a name to watch. And so, now we'll get to see, what he does with A.A. Ryan, running half the team and him running the other half or whatnot. But depending on how this year goes, I think he's a guy that probably maybe this time next year, he's a guy that maybe cracks this list for one or both of us. And then the other one, Dan Campbell. I wanted to find a way to give Dan Campbell some love, man, just to see, but just to see, to see how he's revamped that Detroit Lions team. Just the whole way I think about them. They were just the NFL's JV team in my mind for years to come. And now, like I said, they're no soft touch, man. So play hard, fight hard every week. And like I said, I can't tell you his particular expertise. I know he was a former tight end, but I don't think he's no offensive mastermind. And so he's a coach. Like I said, when you were talking earlier about some of them are executive style, some of them are called coaches or plays. He's more of like a team morale or just team. I mean, you know what I mean? So whatever way he does it, man, he's found a way to turn around an organization that's been synonymous with losing. And so he deserves a shout out as well, man. So I want to mention his name.
Absolutely. And I had guys like Brian Daboll, Mike Vrabel, and we talked about those guys. But Dan Campbell was the guy I wanted to mention too, man. Yeah. We're talking about an organization that's won 9 games only twice since 1995, Willie Jack.
Since Barry Sanders, what you said. Since Barry, they've won 9 games twice.
They only won 9 games twice, man. He comes in last year, they win 9 times, and this is the first year we can say this team actually has expectations. They have expectations
Oh
to be
yeah.
good, and a lot of people have them winning their division. So, man, I'm
Mm-hmm.
liking the Detroit Lions. I'm liking Dan Campbell, and if Dan Campbell can prove it now that the lights are on him and that
Mm-hmm.
Detroit has a little bit of oomph behind them, hey, then I might be willing to put him on this, man. So Dan Campbell is one of those guys too, like you mentioned, that I had right there that just missed it, Willie Jack. So,
For
but other
sure.
than that, man, that's it and that's all, my
That's
dog.
it. That's all.
That's it and that's all. We came, we saw, we conquered. Today was about the coaches, man. And next week is probably my favorite show of the year, man. I ain't gonna lie, this is my
Talk
favorite show.
about it.
Next week we doing bold predictions, man. We doing bold predictions. This is when we stepping out on the limb. You know what I'm saying? It's a road less traveled for each one of us, for me and Willie Jack. Hey, and we're gonna see who can come up with the bold predictions that's gonna land. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna have some bold predictions for y'all next week. So please, please, please tune in to next week's show. We got the fireworks, so we're letting the fireworks off, man. They're gonna be popping, man. We're gonna talk about some bold stuff next week, man. But other than that, we talked
Let's
about
do
the
it.
coaches today. That's it. That's all. Willie Jack, wrap us on up, big
Hey,
dog.
there we go, man. Like we said, man, real quick, man. Shout out to some of the members in the building, man. One more time, Mom Dukes is in the building. Happy birthday, baby. I love you. Can't wait till I see you again. I hope you had a beautiful day. Also, man, who else is in the building, man? Our dog, man, Jeff Walker in the building. No relation to Terrible Time Walker, but our dog, Jeff Walker, was in the building today as well. Wifey was in the building. Brother-in-law, Tori was in this thing, man, the reigning fantasy football champ. So yeah, man, I'll be coming to see about you here shortly, big dog. Don't even worry about that. You know what I mean? Man, who else is in this thing as well? Man, I know I seen our dog, man, our resident Texas fan, Tom Walker was in the building for sure. I know I saw. Hold on, somebody else that was just talking to me, man. I thought OJ Dubs was in the building as well, man. And other than that, man, y'all know what's going on, man. I was scrolling trying to find you, but say the same everything every week, man. So y'all can say it with me if you're home if you want to. If I forgot to say your name, damn, my bad. Charge it to my head. Don't charge it to my heart. You know we think about you, big dog. Y'all know we love and appreciate all the support, man. All the support y'all give us, man. Love when y'all engage in the chat. As y'all see, man, we consistently and actively try to make sure we read as many of the comments as we can. If we can't respond to them while we talking, man, I try to get in that chat and holler at everybody, man. So we really do appreciate everybody tapping in, man. And just like I said, man, being engaged and support, man, can't do this without you guys, support. So we always want to thank and appreciate y'all. Man, other than that, man, y'all know what's going on, man. You know on Wednesdays we don't know where no watch us because we ain't got nowhere else to be but in here cooking football flavor with the film, man. You can catch us next week. Next week's always going to be a fun, exciting show, just like my dog Chop said, man. That bold prediction show sometimes gets a little outlandish in there, man. Sometimes Chop gets off the rails. I'll be trying to pull him back, and he just insists on diving head first out the window. But y'all just had to tune in to see now. Y'all had to tune in to see. Other than that, man, y'all know what's going on, man. Same bat time, different back channel. Next Wednesday, 7 o'clock. Tap in with your dogs, and we'll see you till then. Peace.
Peace.